In the year of my purest love, I deliberately dropped from first to 83rd place on the exam, just to be assigned to the same testing room as the school heartthrob, Wang Xingqi, but his heart belonged to the campus belle, Lu Qianqian. Yet, after graduation, I finally succeeded in winning him over. He got his wish and cheated on me with Lu Qianqian, even having a child with her. But I was so lovesick and foolish that I still clung to him for 5 more years. On his birthday, he broke my nose in front of everyone and joked with his friends, "She's just got brittle bones, a little tap and they shatter." I waited until everyone was gone, then jumped from the 22nd floor. When I opened my eyes again, he and I had been reborn, back on our graduation day. This time, I accepted Gu Yan, the school's notorious tough guy who once took a knife for me. When I was pregnant and wanted to share the happy news with Gu Yan, I accidentally overheard him say, "Qianqian, let that Mr. Wang enjoy his happiness for a few more months, then, you tell him the child is mine." That's when it gets really interesting. In a daze, I turned away, terminated the pregnancy, and agreed to my father's wish for me to study abroad. Before I left the country, both of those men proposed to me, and I said yes to each of them. When I returned home after the abortion procedure, Gu Yan was sitting on the sofa, scrolling through his phone. He glanced at me, his tone cool and detached. "Make me a pot of nourishing soup tomorrow. I've been exhausted from all the overtime and need to replenish." A self-mocking smile tugged at the corner of my lips. In my past life, I suffered abuse from Wang Xingqi because of my foolish, love-struck heart, and yet, I learned nothing. Given a second chance, I threw myself right into the arms of another scumbag. "Are you mute or deaf? Didn't you hear what I said?" Gu Yan's face darkened. I stared at him, recalling that over the past 2 years, this man who once risked his life to save me had never seemed so cold. When exactly did he start to change? Never mind, anyway, the school my father arranged for me starts in just a month. I just want to recover my health as soon as possible. After the surgery, I was quite weak and fell asleep the moment I hit the bed. In my daze, I was shaken awake by Gu Yan. He held my pregnancy report, his voice urgent. "Are you pregnant?" I wanted to know his reaction, so I gave a slight nod. The next second, he said coldly, "Get rid of it." I was devastated, but I still refused to give up. "Why?" I asked him. He threw the report in my face. "My career is just taking off. I don't have the headspace for this." "But you have the headspace to have an affair with Lu Qianqian, is that it?" My words made Gu Yan freeze for a moment, a flicker of surprise flashing in his eyes. Suddenly, he raised his hand and slapped me across the face. "You bitch. I knew you were still hung up on Wang Xingqi. Everyone knew you were obsessed with him back in school, chasing him like a madwoman. Now you're trying to slander Qianqian with rumors, just to get a chance with him. Is that it? Tell me, is the child his? Why don't you suspect that Lu Qianqian's child is his?" I covered my face, tears welling up in my eyes. He froze for a moment, then seemed to think of something and let out a heavy sigh of relief. "Cut it out. I had someone look into that guy on the sly. He's infertile." "So you admit you're involved with Lu Qianqian?" My heart ached with bitterness. Lu Qianqian again. Why does she haunt my life like a ghost? Chapter 2. The next day, I ran into Wang Xingqi at the health supplement store. We had a tacit understanding to pretend we didn't know each other. He told the sales assistant with a beaming face, "My fiancée is pregnant. I'd like to make her some nourishing tonics. What would you recommend from your store?" My heart, which I was trying so hard to seem indifferent, suddenly ached. In my past life, during the 5 years I was with Wang Xingqi, he never so much as offered me a glass of water, let alone cooked me soup. Now, I've finally seen with my own eyes just how much he dotes on Lu Qianqian. Countless days and nights were spent alone in the shadows, imagining the details of their relationship. I used to imagine that he must have been harsh with Lu Qianqian sometimes too, that he must have shouted at her, that in the heat of the moment, he must have even hit her. But now it seems, his disgust was reserved for me alone. That evening, I was sipping my soup. Gu Yan came back from outside and seemed pleased when he saw the soup on the table. He picked up his phone, snapped a picture of the soup, and then his fingers flew across the screen. A few seconds later, he put the phone down and slipped an arm around my shoulder. "I knew you wouldn't be mad at me. It's okay, sweetheart. If you want to keep the baby, we'll keep it." I ignored him. He thought I had accepted his infidelity, so he hummed a tune and went into the bathroom. The phone on the desk vibrated several times in a row. I picked it up to look. The passcode hadn't been changed. Lu Qianqian was frantically sending voice messages, calling him darling and whispering sweet nothings. Her sickly sweet voice made my skin crawl. I scrolled up and paused on the photo of that pot of soup, Gu Yan told her. The old hag made soup again. I'll bring you some later, sweetie. My hands trembling, I put down the phone. My gaze drifted toward the bathroom as I recalled every evening I had spent making soup. Gu Yan would always finish a bowl at home and then take another portion to the office. I even personally packed it up for him, so it was all sent to Lu Qianqian. My heart ached with a dull pain. It's fine, I won't ever do that again. Gu Yan tidied himself up and left the house, carrying the soup. Tonight. He didn't use the excuse of working overtime at the office, but he didn't inform me either, and I, as if the wound in my heart wasn't deep enough, found my legs following him of their own accord. Chapter 3. I followed Gu Yan to the foot of Lu Qianqian's apartment building, then stopped in my tracks, gripped by fear. I had been to this place in my past life. It was a quiet night, just like this one. I stumbled upon the secret in Wang Xingqi's phone. And with tears streaming down my face, I chased after him, but I didn't have the courage to go inside. This time, it seems I also lacked the courage to confront him directly. Just as I was hesitating, a strong hand pulled me aside. Are you following me again? Wang Xingqi glared at me. I gave you a chance this morning at the health store. I didn't expose you then, but you just can't change your ways, can you? I let out a bitter, helpless laugh and tried to shake off his hand. But he only gripped it tighter. Sui Nin, I'm warning you, in our past life, you got me killed and made me lose Qianqian and our child. Now Qianqian is pregnant. You'd better stay far away from us, or I won't be held responsible for what happens. I had been on the receiving end of his responsibility too many times before. Terrified, I stumbled backward. He saw right through me, yanking me back and lowering his voice. Scared, seems like I didn't hit you hard enough back in the day. I scoffed. You're so full of yourself. I'm here to see my boyfriend. It has absolutely nothing to do with you. Wang Xingqi didn't believe it. You're just being stubborn. Everyone knows you've been chasing after me, swearing you'd marry no one else. Last time around, I went soft and gave you a chance, but you didn't know what was good for you. You pushed me down the stairs when I was drunk. Now that Qianqian and I are together out in the open, you must be green with envy. I stayed silent, looking at this man with a sudden wave of disgust. So, silence means consent, huh? He said smugly. Stop pretending you have a boyfriend, who in their right mind would want you. But if you get on your knees and beg, I might throw you a scrap of attention to fantasize about. I couldn't be bothered to waste my breath on him. I wrenched myself free and walked away. He stubbornly gave chase, and in the ensuing struggle, a furious roar echoed from the distance. Wang, what the hell do you think you're doing? Gu Yan rushed over and swiftly pulled me behind him, the soup pot he had been holding now gone. Don't you dare touch my girlfriend, she's pregnant. If anything happens to her, you'll be paying for it. Back in their school days, Wang Xingqi and Gu Yan had never seen eye to eye. Seeing each other again now, the hostility between them was practically sparking in the air. Yet, Wang Xingqi's gaze quickly settled back on me. His eyes held a silent accusation, but he said nothing. Still staring, Gu Yan swung a fist straight at Wang Xingqi's face. The two of them started grappling with each other. For a fleeting moment, I actually thought Gu Yan cared about me. Why else would he be so possessive? I quietly backed away, with no desire to break up the fight. Just as the fight reached its peak, a woman rushed forward. Unfortunately, she was caught in the crossfire. She crashed heavily to the ground, and blood began to flow from her lower body. Qianqian. Both men lunged toward her at the same time. Chapter 4. When Lu Qianqian was lying in the emergency room, both Wang Xingqi and Gu Yan were visibly tense. I wanted to leave, but they wouldn't let me. And they even pinned the blame on me. If it weren't for you, how could Qianqian have gotten hurt? If anything happens to her, I'll make you pay. Wang Xingqi roared at me through gritted teeth, as if he wanted to tear me apart. Truth be told, I've grown accustomed to his fits of rage. No matter how unhinged he becomes, my heart remains an undisturbed pond. But the next second, when Gu Yan slapped me hard across the face and slammed my head against the wall by my hair, my heart ached so fiercely I couldn't breathe. I still remember how he once stood alone against 4 thugs who were bullying me, stabbed 3 times in the chest, blood streaming down. He was still comforting me, telling me not to be afraid. He said, if it means you'll notice me, if you'll just look my way, even my life would be a price worth paying. And today, he wanted me dead for another woman. How ironic. The medical staff nearby intervened, and I narrowly escaped. When I tried to hide in the restroom to wash my face, Wang Xingqi followed me in. He backed me into a corner, glaring at me with pure venom. Su Yining, you were with me for 5 years and never got pregnant. Now, in this lifetime, after just 2 years apart, you're with that scum Gu Yan and carrying his child. What's your game? Are you trying to twist the knife on purpose? In a fit of rage, he reached out to grab me by the throat. With all my strength, I managed to choke out. Maybe the problem was you. Maybe you're the one who couldn't get me pregnant. His eyes went wide with shock, then fury. He kicked me to the ground. Just as he was about to stomp on me, his phone rang. Lu Qianqian's surgery is over. The baby is gone. Chapter 5. After learning the outcome, Gu Yan calmly took my hand and led me to the car. He helped me with my seatbelt, and his thoughtful gesture sent a shiver through me. When the car started heading in the opposite direction of home, every nerve in my body went taut with fear. Where are you taking me? He didn't answer, his face remaining cold and impassive. After the car came to a stop, I tried to run, but he tied me up and strung me from a tree. He unbuckled his belt and swung it with all his might, striking my stomach. Su Yining, why did you have to follow me? If you hadn't come, I wouldn't have fought Wang Xingqi, and Qianqian wouldn't have lost the baby. You killed my child and made Qianqian suffer. This is all your fault. With every word he spoke, he lashed me once. The pain made me writhe like a maggot suspended in midair. I screamed until my throat was raw, yet the force of the whipping never relented. Why? Gu Yan paused, staring at my legs. Why hasn't your child turned to blood and come out after all this beating? I was trembling all over with pain. I almost forgot. He had no idea I had already terminated the pregnancy. It wasn't until I was knocked unconscious and taken to the hospital, the doctor pulled up my medical records, and Gu Yan was stunned for a long time. His eyes blazed with fury as he demanded, so you got rid of the baby all along? Why? I met his gaze calmly. Isn't that exactly what you wanted? He fell silent, the light in his eyes dimming. Chapter 6. The middle of the night, Wang Xingqi called me. When that familiar number flashed on my phone screen, I decisively hit decline. He texted me, ordering me to pick up the phone. I just turned my phone off, but just as I'd fallen asleep, he showed up in my hospital room. Get up. He yanked me awake and started dragging me out. Go apologize to Qianqian. He hauled me into Lu Qianqian's hospital room, kicked the back of my knees, and forced me to kneel. Lu Qianqian was sitting on the hospital bed, a few teardrops clinging to her lashes, looking utterly pitiful. Xingqi, it was an accident. Don't be so hard on Yining. Her sickly sweet voice turned my stomach. Wang Xingqi walked over and sat down beside her. He held her in his arms, his heart aching for her, and gently kissed her cheek. No, it's all her fault. She couldn't have me, so she came to pester me, and that's what brought harm to our child. I couldn't help but let out a wry laugh. I simply couldn't remember why I had been so infatuated with this man in my past life. Lu Qianqian suddenly said she wanted a drink of water. Wang Xingqi poured a glass of water and handed it to her. She complained it wasn't hot enough and told Wang Xingqi to go out and fetch a fresh pot. As he left, Wang Xingqi warned me that the consequences would be even more severe if I dared to get up. I touched my knee, and a piercing pain instantly shot through my entire body. The welts on my waist were dense and numerous, making it quite difficult to even think about standing up. Lu Qianqian got off the hospital bed and walked towards me, slowly pouring the glass of water in her hand over my head. She stared at my pathetic state and laughed. Su Yining, aren't you supposed to be so amazing, the top student, praised by all the teachers and classmates for your talent and beauty? And what about me? Why is it that even though I'm prettier than you, in their eyes I'm just a pretty face with nothing else? I looked at her in disbelief. You hate me because of that? Why not? I just can't stand to see you doing well. To be honest, whoever you're with, I'll take them from you. After all, I'm more charming than you, aren't I? And it's been proven, whether it's Wang Xingqi or Gu Yan, they all loved me more. Playing both sides. Aren't you afraid of karma catching up with you? So what, as long as you, Su Yining, remain my eternal loser? I'm happy. She let go, and the cup suspended above my head came crashing down. It bounced off my skull, hit the floor, and shattered into pieces. Ah, she let out a startled shriek before I could, her gaze fixed on the doorway. Wang Xingqi stood in the doorway, holding a kettle and watching. Chapter 7. Just as I thought Wang Xingqi would be furious upon hearing he'd been cuckolded, he burst in from outside the door and kicked me to the ground. My hand landed right on the broken glass on the floor. The moment the shard pierced my palm, tears welled up in my eyes and fell with a plop. seeping into the wound and making the pain even more intense. Qian, did it startle you? Wang Xingqi, still holding the water kettle, hadn't even had a chance to put it down before he took her hand, his heart aching for her. Lu Qian shook her head, her apology choked with tears. I'm sorry. I just wanted to help her up, but she yelled at me. I got so upset that I couldn't hold the glass steady. It's alright. I know, you're not that kind of person, don't blame yourself. I stared at my own palm for a long moment, then, with a cold sneer, I plucked out the shards of glass with my bare hands. Struggling to my feet, I leaned against the wall and began to shuffle out. Step by painful step, Wang Xingqi blocked my path. I looked at him, and a murderous glint crept into my eyes. He seemed to realize something, and his foot involuntarily took a step back. Exactly, my thoughts at this moment are the same as when I pushed him down the stairs in my previous life, only, in this life, I no longer wish to perish together with him. Back in the hospital room, I asked the nurse to bandage my wound. Seeing me covered in wounds, she asked a few more concerned questions. I insisted it was all my own carelessness and that I hadn't been harmed. The sky was just beginning to lighten, upon receiving Lu Qian's complaint. Gu Yan hurried over to scold me. When he saw my injured hand, he just spat out 2 words, serves you right. I looked at him quietly for a long time before finally speaking. I remember when you were injured and fell unconscious saving me. I said I'd repay you by giving myself to you. Since you don't love me anymore, I shouldn't overstay my welcome. What are you saying? Let's break up. Gu Yan let out an awkward, flustered laugh. Enin, don't be upset, I was wrong, okay? I admit my tone was out of line just now. It won't happen again. He completely avoided mentioning how he hit me for Lu Qian's sake, nor did he bring up the affair. I gave a soft hum, feigning understanding. But I saw how worried you were about Qian. You must like her more than you like me. I want to step aside for you too. Gu Yan fell silent for a long time. Only after finishing his internal calculations did he speak from the heart. Enin, you've got it all wrong. You're the most important person in my heart. How could I possibly have feelings for a woman who cheated? I let out a scornful laugh in my head, but on the surface, I put on a pitiful act, squeezing out 2 tears. I thought you didn't want me anymore. That's why I got rid of our baby. I'm sorry. Sure enough, by mimicking Lu Qian's fragile, pitiful act, Gu Yan's attitude changed. He held me gently, just like he used to, and suddenly choked up. Honestly, I don't know how things got to this point. I lost my head. I couldn't resist the temptation. Alright, I don't blame you. If you're willing, we can start over. I leaned into his embrace, a smug smile curling at the corner of my lips. If you couldn't finish me off, then don't blame me for being ruthless. Chapter 8. I called my father, who was abroad, and asked him to help arrange for a type of aphrodisiac to be sent to me. There was a silence on the other end of the line for a few seconds, followed by a concerned voice. Enin, you promised me you'd come here to study. Don't forget. Don't worry, Dad. I'll come over as soon as I finish what I'm working on. Sigh. Ever since your mother passed, you've become harder and harder to understand, and I'm always busy with work. Alright, that's enough. I steeled myself and hung up the phone. I didn't want to think about those years, a father who showed no affection and a mother who was gone. Perhaps that's exactly why I was so desperate to find love from other men. It took me 2 lifetimes of turmoil to finally realize that men are unreliable. My father worked with remarkable efficiency. I received the item I wanted the very next day. I poured the contents into the new soup tureen I had bought and carried it over to Gu Yan. I made some nourishing soup. It's good for women. I hesitated for a moment. After all, Qian was carrying your child before, and this time her miscarriage was indirectly my fault. To be honest, I feel terrible about it. You should take this soup to her. Gu Yan was taken aback. Me? It's fine, I don't mind. I placed my hand on the back of his and gave it a gentle pat. You know I trust you unconditionally, always. He nodded. Alright then. It's a good chance for me to go over and have a proper talk with her, after seeing him out. I called Wang Xingqi and asked where he was. As luck would have it, he wasn't at Lu Qian's place. In a somewhat apologetic tone, I said, I've been thinking a lot these past few days, and you're right. If it weren't for me, Qian wouldn't have had the miscarriage. I want to go to her place in person and apologize. He was surprised, but he bought it. I asked him to wait for me downstairs at Lu Qian's place, stressing that he mustn't go up alone first. I knew I wouldn't have the nerve to face it by myself. He was very obedient and waited for me downstairs the whole time. I deliberately hid around the corner for over 10 minutes. It wasn't until Gu Yan texted me, saying he'd seen with his own eyes that Lu Qianqian had drunk the soup and accepted my gesture of sincerity, telling me to stop blaming myself, that I finally stepped forward to meet up with Wang Xingqi. Chapter 9. As Wang Xingqi opened the door to Lu Qianqian's apartment, a series of frantic, breathy moans reached his ears. There, he saw Lu Qianqian, completely naked, entwined around Gu Yan. Gu Yan simply held her, making no further move. He continued to voice his concern. Qianqian, calm down, don't do this, it's only been a few days since your surgery, your body can't handle it. Lu Qianqian grabbed his hand and guided it over her body. Gu Yan, what's wrong with you today? Show me that usual intensity of yours. The two of them were completely oblivious to the presence of me and Wang Xingqi. I glanced at Wang Xingqi's face. It was as dark and terrifying as the sky before a storm. He spun around, charged into the kitchen, and pulled out a knife. Gu Yan, you piece of trash, how dare you mess with my woman? Only then did Gu Yan and Lu Qianqian snap out of their daze. The shock did nothing to dampen Lu Qianqian's desire. Instead, she threw herself at Wang Xingqi in a mindless frenzy, wrapping her arms around him, fearing the knife might hurt her. Wang Xingqi hastily dropped the blade, seizing the chaos as my cover. I mustered a pained expression and made my way towards Gu Yan. Inin, please, let me explain. I raised my hand to cut him off. Don't bother, I saw everything. I'd prepared some tonics but forgot to have you bring them, so I came after you. I never expected to find you too. I placed the gift box on the table, speaking in a voice so low that Wang Xingqi behind me likely didn't catch it. Gu Yan was momentarily stunned. In his daze, Wang Xingqi shoved Lu Qianqian aside and lunged at him. Instinctively, he grabbed the soup pot and smashed it hard against Wang Xingqi's head. Instantly, Wang Xingqi's head was struck and began to bleed, and he felt himself growing dizzy. I rushed over to support him. Don't act rashly now. What's done is done, let's get you to the hospital first. He nodded in agreement. Under the influence of the drug, Lu Qianqian latched onto Gu Yan once more, preventing him from giving chase. Chapter 10. At the hospital, I identified myself as Wang Xingqi's family member and requested the doctor to conduct a thorough physical examination for him, especially regarding his fertility. The doctor glanced at Wang Xingqi in the emergency room, looking a bit puzzled. Your boyfriend's injury is to his head, that shouldn't affect your intimate life. I smiled awkwardly. Well, since we're here, we've actually been planning to start a family lately, and you know how men are about their pride. At that, the doctor immediately understood. After Wang Xingqi's wound was treated, I stayed by his side the whole time, tending to my every need, bringing water and food. It felt as if we had returned to a time from a past life we shared, in several fleeting moments. I could sense the stirrings of his heart. Finally, he couldn't hold back any longer. Inin, he said, after everything that's happened, I never imagined it would still be you by my side in the end. I gently handed him a piece of apple. After all, it was Gu Yan who hurt you. As his girlfriend, I should take some responsibility on his behalf. After the way he treated you, you're still thinking about him. What can I do? You know me better than anyone. When I love someone, I throw caution to the wind. I bit my lip, my eyes brimming with hurt. Wang Xingqi's gaze suddenly froze, a flicker of regret crossing his face. He remembered the version of me who once loved him with all my heart. The pity is, I now tell him I'm humbly in love with someone else. The heavy silence was broken by the doctor. Mr. Wang, your test results are in. There's nothing major wrong with your head, but we have discovered you have congenital azoospermia. Wang Xingqi froze instantly. A few seconds later, he became visibly agitated. Doctor, are you sure? That can't be right. My girlfriend was pregnant before. The doctor shook his head. The report is accurate. At the same time, the doctor looked at me, mistakenly thinking I was the girlfriend Wang Xingqi was referring to. If your girlfriend really was pregnant, then I think you two should have a serious talk about how that happened. The doctor finished speaking and left, struggling to hold back a laugh. Wang Xingqi held the report, staring at it for a long time. The moment his hands dropped limply, he looked up and asked me softly, she deceived me for 2 lifetimes, didn't she? I nodded. He said nothing more. Chapter 11. Gu Yan had been looking for me for days, and I ignored him. It wasn't until he was frantic, bombarding my phone with calls and messages, that I deliberately posted my location on my social media feed. Just as I thought, he came after me. The moment he spoke, he launched into a frantic explanation. I lowered my gaze, tears streaming down my face, and choked out, Gu Yan, maybe we should just call it quits, we're not right for each other. Panic instantly washed over him. Fumbling in his pocket, he pulled out a ring. Eneen, marry me, I swear, I'll be good to you and only you for the rest of my life. I won't so much as glance at another woman. I feigned shock, covering my mouth with a small gasp and widening my eyes. Guyen quickly took my hand and dropped to one knee. I curled my fingers, refusing to let him succeed. He looked up at me, his eyes filled with disappointment. Eneen, you don't want to. I shook my head. Guyen, I've been waiting for this day for so long. Honestly, in my heart, I've already said yes 1,000 times, but I'm still scared. Don't be afraid, I promise. From now on, I'll listen to everything you say. Your word is law. So, can we have the wedding soon? How about next week? Is that okay? Seeing my impatient, eager look, Guyen didn't hesitate for a second. He nodded repeatedly, his face beaming with joy. All right, whatever you say. I stretched my fingers out contentedly. So, can I be in charge of the whole wedding? You're not allowed to interfere. Guyen spun around excitedly while holding me. Of course, as long as it makes you happy. And so, I began sending out the invitations under Guyen's name, while keeping the bride's identity a secret. Chapter 12. After receiving Guyen's wedding invitation, Lu Qianqian went to confront him. She wept pitifully, demanding to know what the child she had carried meant to him. Guyen glanced at me guiltily, his voice dropping to a whisper. Qianqian, why don't you head back first? I'll explain everything to you another time. No, I can't wait any longer. If I wait, you'll just end up marrying Su Eneen. What about me? Lu Qianqian threw herself into Guyen's arms. Clinging to him desperately, I watched the two of them entangled in their drama for what felt like ages. Finally fed up, I rose from the sofa and approached them with a pitiful, wounded expression. Guyen, if you're still thinking about explaining things to her, it means she still has a place in your heart. Maybe we should just call off our wedding. I raised my hand, making a motion as if to take off the ring. A few seconds later, tears streamed down my face. It's like this ring has fused to my finger. I don't want it anymore, but I can't get it off. Guyen immediately pushed Lu Qianqian aside and grasped my hands tightly. Eneen, don't take it off. The person I've loved since our school days has always been you. This ring, just like my heart, belongs only to you. I leaned into his shoulder, not forgetting to shoot a challenging glance at Lu Qianqian. Lu Qianqian stamped her foot in frustration, her teeth leaving a mark on her lip. I asked Guyen to go back to his room so I could have a proper talk with Lu Qianqian. He agreed. Lu Qianqian glared at me with disgust. What on earth do we have to talk about? Still not giving up. I glanced at the door Guyen had just closed and smiled. All right, I'll give you one more chance. We'll compete fairly. How about that? What are you implying? On the wedding day, you show up in a wedding dress. We'll have Guyen make his choice again, right in front of all the guests. What do you say? Lu Qianqian instantly broke into a smug smile. Fine, it's not like it matters. I'm prettier than you anyway, with all those people watching. Guyen will definitely pick me. I mean, who would want to be known as the guy who passed up a beautiful woman to marry someone as plain as you? Alright, it's settled then, I said, opening the door and gesturing for her to leave. Chapter 13. I found Wang Xingqi with the invitation in hand, along with a jar of origami cranes I had bought. In my past life, I won him over with a jar of hand-folded paper cranes. Now, seeing this jar again, he was still stunned for a moment. Wang Xingqi, I'm getting married. Even though, in this second chance at life, I chose not to pester you again, deep down I know there's always a place in my heart reserved for you. That's why I couldn't help but do the things I did in my past life, like folding paper cranes. Wang Xingqi snatched the wedding invitation and, without even glancing at it, tore it to pieces with force. What are you doing? I won't let you marry anyone else. Wang Xingqi's eyes reddened. I handed him the paper crane, saying regretfully, I've made up my mind. Since you've never liked me, there's really no point in me waiting for you anymore. I deserve my own love. After I give you this jar of paper cranes, my wish will be fulfilled, and I won't think about anything related to you ever again. Wang Xingqi clutched the jar of paper cranes tightly, his voice choked with emotion. Eneen, I was wrong. After going through so much, I've realized you're the one who's always been the best to me. I can't lose you. I bit my lower lip lightly, feeling utterly helpless. It's too late. In this lifetime, I've chosen Guyen. I can't let him down, but he cheated on you, and you still want to marry him. He said he'll change, and I hope you can continue your relationship with Lu Qianqian properly. Please don't let her come between us anymore. Wang Xingqi paused for a moment. Su Yining, are you out of your mind? Are you really determined to marry him? Yes, alright. Let's go to the rooftop and start another life. Wang Xingqi pulled me as he ran upstairs. I struggled desperately to break free from him. Wang Xingqi, don't do this. He stood quietly in place, a flicker of self-mockery flashing in his eyes. A moment later, he resumed his climb, muttering to himself, if you won't start over with me, then my life has no meaning. I stopped him. Then, will you marry me? A light instantly sparked in his eyes. Yining, you've decided to marry me. I nodded. But I want to see your sincerity. Is it alright if I take full charge of the wedding? Alright, I'll listen to you. I'll make it up to you. I promise, Wang Xingqi said excitedly, scooping me up in his arms to carry me downstairs. Chapter 14. I still used Wang Xingqi's identity to send invitations to all his family and friends, while the identity of the bride remained undisclosed. I even booked the A and B halls at the same hotel for the wedding venue and instructed the hotel manager to remove all the partition screens between them when the time came. On the day of the wedding, I packed my bags early and rushed to the airport. While in the departure lounge, the hotel manager sent me a video from the wedding venue. Miss Su, why are there 2 grooms at your wedding? Miss Su, what should we do? The 2 grooms are fighting. I watched the video the manager took with great relish. Both Wang Xingqi and Gu Yan thought the other was there to steal the bride, and the 2 of them ended up in a scuffle, throwing the whole scene into chaos. Lu Qianqian arrived on the scene in her wedding dress. The old classmates began to whisper and gossip among themselves. So the bride is the campus belle, but how come I never heard about Gu Yan being involved with the campus belle? TSK. Seeing Wang Xingqi and Gu Yan fighting like this, it's obvious they both have something going on with the campus belle. The campus belle, who wouldn't want her? If it were me, I'd try to win her over too, ha ha ha. After the burst of laughter subsided, Wang Xingqi and Gu Yan were pulled apart. Someone shouted, stop fighting, groomsmen. Just ask the bride who she wants to marry and it'll all be clear. Only then did they notice Lu Qianqian. Lu Qianqian lifted the hem of her dress and approached, leaving Wang Xingqi and Gu Yan utterly bewildered. At that moment, I sent the pre-recorded voice message to each of them. They took out their phones, and upon hearing my pitiful, tearful voice, their expressions instantly darkened. I told them I had seen Lu Qianqian in the dressing room, wearing a wedding dress and arriving at our wedding venue. Since that was the case, I had no choice but to step aside and let them have their way. Wang Xingqi put down his phone and shouted at Lu Qianqian in disgust, you shameless woman, you've been two-timing me and lying to me all this time, and you have the nerve to show your face here. Lu Qianqian was taken aback for a moment. Wang Xingqi, who do you think you are? I'm here to marry Gu Yan today. I was carrying his child before. If I'm marrying anyone, it's him. What's it got to do with you? Besides, you're infertile. You're not even a real man. I'd marry anyone but you. Whoa. The guests' expressions lit up with scandalized glee, and a wave of murmurs swept through the crowd. Gu Yan's face grew darker and darker. He glared furiously at Lu Qianqian. Shut up. Why are you even here? It's Yining I'm marrying, not you. And why are you dressed like that? Great. Now Yining's gone. You've driven her away. Lu Qianqian was stung by Gu Yan's words. Tears welling up in her eyes. Gu Yan, isn't it perfect that she's gone? Then we can be together openly. No more sneaking around. We can even have a child, rightfully and properly. Wang Xingqi suddenly stepped forward and slapped Lu Qianqian across the face. So you finally admit it. You were seeing someone else while you were with me, and you even had a child with him. Seeing Lu Qianqian get hit, Gu Yan's heart ached involuntarily. He immediately stepped forward to demand justice for her. Chaos erupted once again at the scene. As Lu Qianqian moved forward to break up the fight, Gu Yan, grabbing a dinner knife from the table, accidentally stabbed her. Blood stained her pristine white wedding dress. Chapter 15. I watched the video, feeling completely unmoved. Just then, the boarding announcement came over the PA system. I took one last look at the chaotic wedding scene on my phone, then turned it off, dragging my luggage towards the boarding gate. 6 months later, I received an email from an old classmate. She was a friend I got along with fairly well in school. We just hadn't been in touch for a long time. She said it took a lot of connections to find my contact information, and she apologized for reaching out so abruptly, but there was one thing she absolutely had to tell me. As I read the words in the email, my brow furrowed instantly. She told me that Wang Xingqi had jumped from a building and taken his own life. Before he took his own life, he went to see her, asking about me. She said she didn't know. Later, Wang Xingqi said some strange things to her. He said, "If I jump from the 22nd floor, I can start a new life with Yining. This time, I'll cherish her properly." Not long after, she received the news of Wang Xingqi's suicide. She also mentioned, rather bizarrely, that another classmate, Gu Yan, had gone mad. He kept insisting he was responsible for his own child's death and would occasionally whip himself with a leather belt. She asked me if any of this had something to do with me. I replied to her email, telling her that all of this was simply the consequence of their own misdeeds. Putting down my phone, I looked out the window, breathed in the fresh air, and felt as though I had been reborn. Story 2. After rebirth, I only have 3 thoughts. First, be kinder to my stepmother and stepbrother. Second, study hard. Third, stay away from Qingzhou. I did the first 2 things very well, but the third one didn't go as I wished, because Qingzhou was also reborn. 1. The moment I saw Qingzhou enter the classroom, I knew I had been reborn. The 18-year-old Qingzhou still carried the naivety of youth, slightly different from the man who would use me and discard me a decade later, leading to my family's ruin. The homeroom teacher smiled as she introduced the new student to the class. "Qingzhou has just transferred to our class. Everyone, please get along well with him." These words were exactly the same as in my previous life. I knew that next, the homeroom teacher would assign Qingzhou to sit beside me, because the student next to me had just transferred out, leaving only the seat next to me vacant in the entire class. Just like in my previous life, after becoming desk mates with Qingzhou, he treated me exceptionally well. We quickly got to know each other well. And after learning about his tragic background, I felt even more sympathy for him, always wanting to help him more. Putting aside the despicable things he did later, Qingzhou was exceptionally handsome and capable, so my initial sympathy gradually turned into affection. After the college entrance exams, I took the initiative to confess my feelings to Qingzhou, and we naturally got together afterward. It wasn't until 10 years later when my family went bankrupt that Qingzhou discarded me like trash and got engaged to someone else. I only found out on his engagement day that he had been using me to gain my father's trust, ultimately causing my family's bankruptcy and seizing our company, all part of his long-planned scheme. He wanted to prove himself to the Qing family patriarch and secure his standing in the Qing household. My 10 years of genuine affection and the accumulated wealth of my Jiang family over generations became nothing but stepping stones for Qingzhou. In the end, my father jumped to his death, and I died in a car accident on my way to the hospital to see him one last time. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the very beginning. "Classmate Qingzhou, please take a seat next to Jiang Yan for now." Watching Qingzhou approach me, I abruptly stood up as if startled. Qingzhou, who was just about to sit down, froze in place, frowning as he looked up at me with confusion in his eyes. The homeroom teacher asked me, "What's wrong?" I took a step back, putting some distance between Qingzhou and myself. "I don't want to sit with him, I want to change seats." Hearing this, Qingzhou's pupils trembled violently as he looked at me. The homeroom teacher also frowned disapprovingly, while classmates nearby whispered, "What's wrong with Jiang Yan today? She's usually so nice." "Jiang Yan, let Qingzhou sit next to you for now. We'll rearrange seats after the monthly exam." I ignored the homeroom teacher's words, scanning my gaze around the classroom. Everyone was staring at me as if watching a show. Only he, sitting at the back, kept his head down doing his own thing, as if everything around him had nothing to do with him. I didn't want to disturb him either, but it seemed there was no other choice now. "Teacher, I want to sit next to Jiang Yuji." As soon as the words were spoken, Jiang Yuji, who had been indifferent all along, finally looked up, his gaze sweeping past my face. "I want to study hard, so I'd like to be Jiang Yuji's deskmate and have him tutor me." Worried that this reason wasn't enough, I added, "My dad has agreed to this, and Jiang Yuji knows about it too. We just haven't had the chance to tell you yet. My dad donates to the school every year. Even if the teacher doesn't value me, they'd still give my dad some face." She looked questioningly at Jiang Yuji, seeking confirmation from him. I also turned my gaze in that direction. Jiang Yuji initially met my eyes blankly for a few seconds. I just blinked at him weakly, and he nodded with an After changing seats, Jiang Yuji had been acting quite cold toward me, even giving off an air of avoidance. I can actually understand it. After all, ever since his mother became my stepmother, I've always rejected both of them and naturally never gave them a friendly look. But in my previous life, when my family fell into trouble, it was Jian Yuji and his mother who struggled to hold up our crumbling household, so in this second chance at life, I've decided to treat my stepmother and stepbrother better. Stop looking, Jian Yuji whispered, his face turning red. I suddenly realized I'd been staring at him for a long time. He seemed to make a great decision before turning to look at me. Asking seriously, why do you suddenly want to sit with me, weren't you? He didn't say the words, you hate me the most, but I could guess them. I smiled and casually opened the book in front of me. Like I said, I want to study hard, that's true. In my past life, I was like a useless waste. When trouble came, not only did I fail to help my family, but I became their burden instead, so in this second chance at life, I must study hard when faced with similar situations in the future. I want to be their support. What about you? I asked him, why did you help me lie to the teacher? Jian Yuji buried his head again, pausing for 2 seconds before saying, my mom asked me to take care of you more at school. I had already guessed this reason. Aunt Jian has always been very kind to me. I'll take care of you too from now on. Jian Yuji glanced at me quickly. This time even the roots of his ears turned red. But a faint smile hovered at the corners of his mouth. Too, in my past life, I was a slacker who got into the elite class through connections. Even after being reborn, this high school knowledge is still difficult for me. My stepbrother Jian Yuji had been glancing at me repeatedly. When he looked at me and my workbook again, I suddenly turned to meet his gaze. Jian Yuji, I can't do this, teach me. He didn't hesitate, as if he'd been waiting for me to ask, okay, when explaining problems. Jian Yuji's voice was very soft. Even when I asked him the most basic questions, he would patiently answer, take notes on these, and next time you can just apply the formula directly. I worked on the problems very slowly, and only when I looked up did I realize he had been watching me the entire time. You got it right. The corners of Jian Yuji's lips lifted slightly, forming a faint smile. He really doesn't hold grudges at all, whether in the past life or now. Whether it was because I got a question right or because Jian Yuji's smile was contagious, I suddenly felt inexplicably happy and even had the urge to tease him. Jian Yuji, why aren't you calling me sis anymore? I remember when his mother first brought him to my house. He was only 12 years old. The first time we met, he timidly called me big sister. For a long time after that, even when I gave him the cold shoulder, he still insisted on calling me sis, but later, I don't know when it started, I never heard him call again. Hearing this, the smile on Jian Yuji's face suddenly froze, and he gave me a complicated glance. Wasn't it you who told me not to call? I had long forgotten about this matter. I awkwardly rubbed my nose, then softening her voice, she coaxed him like a child, will you still call me sister from now on? It was my fault before, I was just joking. Jian Yuji, please keep calling me sister in the future. I love hearing you call me that. Boys his age are incredibly easy to coax. Jian Yuji turned his head away, and from my angle, I could only see his reddened ear. The next moment, I heard him respond softly, I pushed my luck. Then call me that right now. After staring at him for a long moment, I finally heard him reluctantly utter a single word, sis. That single word alone was enough to please me. As I turned back to continue working on the problems, I sensed a gaze fixed on me from behind. Turning around, I met Qingzhou's gaze directly. Perhaps he didn't expect me to turn suddenly, so the gloom on his face hadn't yet been concealed, but in the blink of an eye, Qingzhou's expression had returned to normal. He gave me a friendly smile, yet I found his grin utterly insincere and repulsive at that moment. I turned my head with an expressionless face. Jian Yuji glanced at Qingzhou beside me and reminded me, do these problems first, sis. My earlier good mood vanished completely. Not even this sis could salvage it. Looking at the exercises he circled in the workbook, I responded softly, okay. After school, I followed my memories from my past life and found the private car that came to pick me up. Miss, please get in the car. Looking at the familiar face of the driver uncle, the joy of rebirth once again filled my heart. I glanced toward the school and said, wait a bit longer. Jian Yuji was called by the teacher. Let's wait for him. The uncle looked at me with a somewhat surprised expression, but still said nothing. Jian Yan, a familiar voice suddenly came from behind, and I froze in place. I lost my bus card. Can you lend me 2 yuan for the bus fare? This scene had also happened in my previous life. In my past life, Qingzhou also said the same words to me. Out of consideration for being desk mates, I asked for his home address, and upon learning we lived in the same neighborhood, I proactively invited him to ride home with me. Upon arriving at the neighborhood, we ran into an acquaintance. and he introduced me as his friend, being friends with the young lady of the Jiang family. Just this fact alone meant that from then on, he, this illegitimate child with an awkward status, would receive slightly more regard in the Qing family. In my past life, I thought all of this was coincidence, but now upon closer reflection, it seems deliberately arranged at every turn. Seeing my prolonged silence, Qing Zhou called out to me again, "Jiang Yan." I ignored him outright and waved to Jiang Yuji, who had just exited the school gate. "Been waiting for you forever, let's go home together." Jiang Yuji glanced at Qing Zhou behind me, then ran toward me with a somewhat flattered expression. "You waited for me on purpose, sis." I nodded and got into the car first, even though my reaction now is completely different from my past life. Qing Zhou still refuses to give up. He took a step forward, held the car door, and repeated, "Jiang Yan, can you lend me 2 yuan for the bus fare?" I frowned coldly at him and said displeased, "I don't have the habit of lending money to strangers, sorry." Through the rearview mirror, I saw Qing Zhou still standing there, looking puzzled and forlorn. 3. As soon as I got home, I saw my dad standing by the dining table setting out bowls and chopsticks. Memories from my past life came flooding back. My nose stung as I rushed over and hugged him tightly. "Dad." Seeing me cry, my dad flusteredly tried to comfort me. Even Aunt Jiang from the kitchen rushed over nervously and gathered around me. Yan, what's wrong? Were you bullied at school?" She grabbed Jiang Yuji to ask, but he just looked at me blankly and then shook his head. During the meal, Jiang Yuji handed me a bowl of soup. "Sis." I reached out to take it and casually said thanks, though it was just 2 simple words. The 3 people at home made a big fuss about it. Almost all the dishes on the table were my favorites. After tasting them, I said sincerely, "The food today is really delicious." Aunt Jiang put down her chopsticks with a smile, glanced at my dad, then looked at me and said, "The housekeeper took leave today, so I cooked the meal. I'm glad you like it." In my past life, I always held prejudices against Aunt Jiang and Jiang Yuji, so I never ate the meal she prepared and even threw tantrums, once flipping the table in anger. Yan, if you like it, Aunt Jiang can make it for you tomorrow too." "Okay." Aunt Jiang cautiously probed. The dinner table suddenly fell silent, and everyone except me seemed to freeze in place, meeting their hopeful gazes. I nodded with a smile. Sure. All evening, my dad and Aunt Jiang were overjoyed, their smiles never fading. Even Jiang Yuji was hovering around me, pouring me water and bringing me fruit, calling me sister several times. As I was about to leave, I overheard Aunt Jiang chatting with my dad. "I heard the Qing family took in an illegitimate child, and the situation is quite difficult." My dad dismissed it casually. "Not our business. As long as our family stays harmonious, Dad." "Aunt Jiang, I'm taking the dog out for a walk," I said to the 2 on the sofa. After changing shoes, I realized Jiang Yuji was also changing his shoes behind me. "Where are you going?" Jiang Yuji grinned at me. "Sis, I'm going for a run." After reminding me to be careful, he ran off. I hadn't walked far when I saw someone standing under the trees ahead. I've been staring at that figure for 10 years. Of course it's familiar. It's Qing Zhou. I ignored him and kept walking. But Qing Zhou was clearly waiting here on purpose. "Jiang Yan," he called me. Seeing that I didn't respond, Qing Zhou reached out to grab me, but was scared off by my golden retriever. "Jiang Yan, I have something to ask you." The golden retriever was still snarling and barking at him. As I tightened the leash, I said calmly, "Classmate, I don't know you, so there's probably nothing for us to talk about, right?" Qing Zhou was about to say something more when Jiang Yuji's voice came from not far away. He quickly ran over, giving Qing Zhou an unfriendly glance before turning to me. "Sis, what's wrong? I heard Xiao Yuan barking nonstop." "It's fine." I pulled the golden retriever to leave when a black car suddenly stopped beside us. The person who got out of the car was Qing Zhou's father. "Xiao Zhou, why are you outside?" Then, as if just noticing me, he feigned warmth. "Isn't this the daughter of Chairman Jiang? I've been meaning to visit your father." "Xiao Zhou is my son. You 2 know each other." "We don't," Jiang Yuji and I said in unison. "I've already experienced this kind of thing in my past life." Qing Zhou somehow found out that I take my dog for walks in the evening, so he deliberately waited near my house. It was both to get closer to me and to ensure his father would see him associating with me, the sole heir of the Jiang family, when returning home. "Uncle Qing, is it?" I spoke politely. "Please keep your son under control. He's scaring my dog." Without waiting for the father and son to react, Jiang Yuji and I had already left. From behind came the curses of Qing Zhou's father. "You little brat, rein in all your crafty schemes. don't be full of devious ideas like your mother. If it weren't for her threats, you wouldn't even have the right to step through the Qing family's door." And Qingzhou remained completely silent the entire time. Only after walking far away did the gaze following us from behind finally vanish. "Sis, do you know that guy?" Jiang Yuji suddenly asked me. "I don't know you." 4. Qingzhou was good-looking and academically excellent. Just a few weeks after transferring, girls flocked like a school of fish to see him after class every day. Half of the chattering girls outside the window came to see Jiang Yuji, the other half came to see Qingzhou. Because of this, many boys in the class complained. But due to my attitude toward Jiang Yuji, they could only direct their anger at Qingzhou. During free activity time in PE class, on my way to the convenience store to buy water, I saw Qingzhou being cornered by several boys behind a secluded teaching building. Noticing me passing by, Qingzhou looked at me with pleading eyes, yet I still just gave a quick glance and pretended not to see, walking straight past. I've learned enough lessons from my past life. Every time Qingzhou got into trouble, it was always me who stepped forward for him repeatedly. Didn't my sincere efforts and endless care ultimately fail to bring me a happy ending? So, in this lifetime, I've resolved to be an indifferent villain. By doing nothing at all, I can already make Qingzhou suffer immensely. I had only finished one page of exercises when Jiang Yuji returned to the classroom. I handed him tissues and water. "Why are you back so soon?" He twisted open the bottle cap, and when he tilted his head back to drink, the movement of his Adam's apple was clearly visible. I somewhat awkwardly averted my gaze. "Can you do all of them?" Noticing the workbook in front of me, Jiang Yuji asked. I was about to answer when I saw the boys who had been giving Qingzhou trouble earlier return to the classroom. "Do you think Qingzhou has a problem? Why did he deliberately provoke us just now?" "Yeah. Clearly he started it with us." But just as we were about to take action, he apologized. Hearing this, I could only let out a cold laugh in my heart. Qingzhou really went to great lengths to get close to me. Little did he know, the person inhabiting this body was no longer the innocent and kind 17-year-old Jiang Yan from before. 5. Over the weekend, Jiang Yuji accompanied me to study at the library. We arrived quite late, and almost all the seats in the library were already taken. After finally finding an empty seat, I was about to ask if it was taken when I realized the person was Qingzhou. He saw me too, then moved his things aside, silently inviting us to sit down. Before I could speak, Jiang Yuji had already grabbed my wrist. "Sis, let's go to the second floor, there are seats there." As we left, he even shot Qingzhou a warning glance. After finishing 2 test papers, I rotated my stiff neck and suddenly heard Jiang Yuji whisper beside me, "Sis, why did you suddenly want to study?" Memories of my past life flashed through my mind. I forced a bitter smile and said, "No reason, I just suddenly didn't want to be a good-for-nothing anymore." Propping my chin with one hand, I looked down at the densely written answers on the test paper. You know what? I had a dream. In it, our family suddenly encountered misfortune, but I couldn't help it all. The person I once liked most said I was just a useless waste. It was just casual venting. But Jiang Yuji actually took it seriously. He looked at me seriously, his expression grave as he said, "That was just a dream. No matter what happens, Uncle Jiang would never say such things to you." I shook my head. "It wasn't my dad." Hearing my reply, Jiang Yuji fell silent for 2 seconds, then blushed and averted his eyes from mine. I wouldn't say such things to you either." The gloom in my heart instantly dissipated. Watching the blushing Jiang Yuji, I laughed until I couldn't straighten up. After finishing my homework, I got up and wandered around the library. Suddenly, a shadow rushed from behind and forcefully pulled me into the emergency stairway outside. I was about to cry for help when my mouth was immediately covered by someone. Qingzhou's familiar voice whispered in my ear, "Yan Yan. Long time no see." He pinned me against the wall, his lips near my ear, breathing rapidly as he said excitedly, "You've been reborn too, haven't you?" I realized that the things I had just said to Jiang Yuji might have been overheard by Qingzhou, but he said he was also reborn. "Yan Yan, I came back for you." Qingzhou looked at me with deep affection in his eyes, but I knew all too well how skilled he was at deception. My heart raced with fear as I reached out and pushed him away abruptly. Qingzhou refused to relent, pinning me between himself and the hallway wall once more. "Yan Yan, let me explain about our past life, okay? It wasn't what you thought." The strength disparity between men and women was inherently unequal. Unable to resist, I could only feign temporary compliance. I asked him, "Then what was it? Wasn't it you, Qingzhou, who destroyed my family?" His expression was one of extreme agony. his lips trembling for a long moment before he could only force out the words, "I have my reasons." "Whatever grand reasons you have are none of my concern." Seizing the moment when his guard was down, I tightened my grip on the pen in my hand and stabbed it fiercely into his arm, then used the momentum to push him down the stairs. "Stay away from me from now on. Don't dirty my sight." With that, I pulled open the emergency exit and fled as if escaping a disaster, only to crash straight into Jian Yuji's arms. He steadied me, perhaps sensing my unease, and softly reassured me, "Sis, what's wrong?" I shook my head, barely managing to stop my body from trembling. "I'm fine, let's go, time to head back." Jian Yuji lifted his eyelids to glance at the emergency exit door, his expression somewhat gloomy. "Sis, go ahead and wait for me there. I'll just use the restroom and be right back." Without giving it much thought, I turned and walked back to my seat. When Jian Yuji returned, I noticed the injuries on his face. "Why did it take so long, and what happened to your face?" Jian Yuji lowered his head to avoid my gaze. I fell in the restroom. Going downstairs from the second floor, I ran into Qingzhou again. He looked even more disheveled than before, with inexplicable bruises on his face. Connecting this with the injuries on Jian Yuji's face, I instantly understood. Noticing my gaze lingering on Qingzhou, Jian Yuji stepped sideways to block my view. "Sis, don't look at him. He clearly doesn't look like a good person." 6. Jian Yan. "The homeroom teacher wants to see you in the office." I was just about to leave when Jian Yuji glanced at Qingzhou's seat, then picked up the stack of homework he'd just collected and called out to me, "Sis, wait for me. I'll go with you." Qingzhou was already in the office when we arrived, and the physics teacher seemed to be discussing competition matters with him. From the moment I entered, his gaze remained fixed on me. Jian Yuji placed the homework notebook on the teacher's desk and said to me as he left, "Sis, I'll wait for you outside." The homeroom teacher teased with a smile, "How come our grade's top student is such a sister's boy? Can't bear to be apart from your sister for even a moment." Jian Yuji flushed but didn't refute, tacitly acknowledging the teacher's words, though before leaving, he stole another glance at Qingzhou. "Jian Yan, your grades have improved a lot recently. Keep up the good work." The homeroom teacher then gave some additional academic instructions. When I left the office, I didn't see Jian Yuji, but Qingzhou was standing at the stairwell, clearly waiting for me. I ignored him and prepared to return to the classroom. Qingzhou chased after me and blocked my path. "Didn't you hate your stepbrother the most before? Why are you so close to him now? Yan, why has everything changed? Didn't you like me the most before? Why won't you even give me a glance now?" I scoffed. "Don't flatter yourself." As I turned to leave again, Qingzhou grabbed my wrist and said in a hoarse voice, Yan, give me another chance, please." "No." I tried to shake him off but failed. Hearing footsteps in the stairwell, I warned Qingzhou, "Let go." He stared at me persistently, his eyes filled with sorrow. "Sis." The footsteps belonged to Jian Yuji. His gaze fell on my wrist where Qingzhou was gripping me, his eyes instantly turning fierce as he rushed forward and pushed Qingzhou away. "Sis, did he bully you?" Seeing my slightly reddened wrist, Jian Yuji turned around, grabbed Qingzhou by the collar, and growled in a low voice, "Did you forget how the hell I warned you last time? Stay the hell away from my sister." Qingzhou curled his lips mockingly. "Still have the nerve to call her sister? Everyone can see through your little scheme." Both wore hostile expressions and soon came to blows. "Jian Yuji." I intervened just in time. Jian Yuji, who had already clenched his fist ready to strike Qingzhou, suddenly froze. With reddened eyes, he turned to look at me plaintively. "Sis." I walked over and grabbed him. "Let's go. Class has already started." After saying that, I glanced at Qingzhou again. No need to get physical with someone like him. Hearing this, Qingzhou's pupils trembled slightly, his eyes instantly filling with tears. Ever since Qingzhou found out that I, like him, had been reborn, his appearances around me became increasingly frequent. Jian Yuji's temper visibly worsened, even leading to multiple public physical altercations with Qingzhou. Rumors about me and Qingzhou kept spreading throughout the school. When summoned to the homeroom teacher's office again, I couldn't hide my irritation. This final year of high school is crucial. I expect you all to focus on your studies. Recently, you too. Teacher, I rarely interrupted elders so rudely. I have no interest in Qingzhou whatsoever, but he keeps harassing me. It's seriously affecting my studies. He's causing me great distress. I hope you can have a proper talk with Qingzhou. If you can't resolve this, I'll have to ask my father to come discuss it with the principal." After I finished speaking, the homeroom teacher was stunned, then turned to Qingzhou. Is everything Jiang Yan said true? Qingzhou remained silent for a moment, then nodded in admission. Jiang Yan, you go back to the classroom first. The teacher will handle this matter. I nodded and left. As soon as I stepped out, I saw Jiang Yuji waiting outside the office. I knew he was worried about me. After returning to the classroom, the female classmate in front of me turned around and asked, "Did the homeroom teacher talk to you about you and Qingzhou?" Before I could answer, she continued, "Actually, we've all noticed Qingzhou likes you. He keeps sneaking glances at you during class and always follows you around." I smiled indifferently. "Oh really?" She nodded, but Jiang Yuji grew impatient and reminded her, "Class is starting." The female classmate pursed her lips, cast a complicated glance at Jiang Yuji, and eventually turned back resentfully. 7. On Saturday, Jiang Yuji had a physics competition. In the over a year since my rebirth, he and I had been practically inseparable every moment. "Go get him," I said, watching Jiang Yuji enter the venue. I had just sat down on the bench outside the venue when a figure stood before me. "Yan Yan." I didn't look up, recognizing Qingzhou's voice immediately. In his hand was a transparent bag containing competition entry passes. Clearly, he was here for the contest too. Qingzhou crouched down in front of me, looking up earnestly. "Yan Yan, can we talk properly? What terrible luck." As I stood up to distance myself from him, I heard Qingzhou's threatening words from behind. "If you refuse to talk, I'll go in and speak with Jiang Yuji instead. All I need is to spread a few lies, and he can forget about competing in that final." "What do you want to talk about?" I interrupted him impatiently. "Ever since my rebirth, I've always found him utterly despicable. Yet he insists on putting on this pitiful act in front of me." Qingzhou took a step closer to me, nervously clenching his hands at his sides. "I want to apologize for what happened in our past life. I truly never intended for your father's company to go bankrupt, nor did I expect you to suddenly pass away in a car accident. Yan Yan, I admit that at first I approached you with ulterior motives, but later my feelings for you became genuine. I was just too impatient. I just wanted to become strong enough to be worthy of you." I glanced up at the digital clock above the venue. "There's only 1 minute left before the competition starts. After that, Qingzhou won't be able to enter and participate, nor will he disturb Jiang Yuji anymore. You don't know how I survived those years after your death. The engagement was fake. I've only ever loved you, from beginning to end. Otherwise, I wouldn't have lived so recklessly after losing you, dying within a few years just to see you again." As he spoke, he gave a self-mocking smile, the corner of his mouth twitching, and I never gave him any response from start to finish. Even a dog would shake its head at these lies of his. How could someone who loves another bear to drag them into the mire? "Yan Yan, please forgive me. Let's start over." Watching the security guard close the venue's gate, I finally smiled with satisfaction. "Good, now you can't get in." Qingzhou didn't even turn around, just looked at me gloomily and said, "I guessed you'd accompany Jiang Yuji here today, so you were my target from the beginning." "Oh." I walked over to the security guard, and Qingzhou followed me. "But this is exactly what I wanted, Uncle Security. This person is harassing me." I pretended to be scared as I called for the security guard's help. Sure enough, the security guard shielded me behind him. "I thought you looked suspicious earlier, kid." Qingzhou tried to explain, but was ultimately chased out by the security guard. 8. After learning that Jiang Yuji won first place in the physics competition and was directly admitted to Peking University, my dad and Aunt Jiang were so happy they couldn't sleep for several nights. "Our Yuji is just brilliant," my dad said, then glanced at me. "Our Yan Yan is smart too. Look how much she's improved in such a short time." I smiled without speaking. I had thought that after being directly admitted, Jiang Yuji might not go to school anymore. The next day, he still went out with me. "Before the college entrance exams, I have to supervise your studies," Jiang Yuji explained. In the 2 months leading up to the college entrance exams, everyone in the family was anxious except for me. To save time, Jiang Yuji suggested having lunch in the cafeteria. "This way you can have more time for a nap instead of running back and forth." Midway through the meal, Qingzhou suddenly sat down beside me. Jiang Yuji and I exchanged glances, neither of us acknowledging him. "Sis, you shouldn't be picky, you should eat carrots too, they're good for your eyes." Qingzhou, who had been silent all along, suddenly spoke up. "Yan Yan doesn't like carrots." I wasn't planning to eat it originally, but hearing those words, I immediately finished all the carrots on my plate right in front of Qingzhou. Seeing this, Qingzhou's expression turned stern. By the time we finished eating and left, he had barely touched the food on his plate. while working on problems in the afternoon, Jiang Yuji suddenly asked me beside me, "Sis, besides carrots, is there anything else you don't like to eat?" "Yes," I nodded solemnly, then listed a whole bunch of foods I dislike. After speaking, Jiang Yuji suddenly laughed. Raising you to this age was truly no easy feat for our family. At noon the next day, Jiang Yuji left early. When I finally looked up after finishing the exam, the classroom was completely empty. Going to the cafeteria at this hour will probably mean standing in a long queue again. Just as I was hesitating whether to go out and grab some quick bites, Qingzhou placed bread and milk on my desk. "I noticed you didn't go for lunch, so I brought these for you." The moment I showed a look of annoyance, the items on the desk were immediately shoved back into Qingzhou's arms. "My sister never eats this kind of stuff." Then, right in front of Qingzhou, he opened the thermal lunchbox. It was filled with all my favorite dishes. "Sis, I'll come home after second period every day from now on and bring you meals." After getting the guaranteed admission, the teachers really didn't restrict him much, but wouldn't that be too much trouble? Jiang Yuji leaned on the table watching me eat, smiling. "No trouble at all, I enjoy cooking." "Did you make this yourself?" I asked with raised eyebrows. Is it good?" I nodded sincerely. "Super delicious." At the high school senior pledge rally, Jiang Yuji gave a speech on stage. I gazed at the spirited young man on stage, feeling an indescribable mix of emotions in my heart. In my past life, I had also attended the oath-taking ceremony, with Jiang Yuji as the speaker just like now, but my state of mind back then was completely different from what it is now. "You're not developing feelings for some 17 to 18-year-old brat, are you?" The mocking voice beside me snapped me back to reality. "Jiang Yan, get a grip, you've lived 2 lifetimes. The mental age gap between you and a kid like Jiang Yuji is astronomical. You two are completely mismatched. What's more, he's your—" I gave him the chance to finish his sentence. I looked at him with disgust and sneered. "Then who would be suitable for me?" "You." Qingzhou seemed oblivious to the sarcasm in my words. Staring into my eyes, he said earnestly, "Jiang Yan, I'm the one you loved for over a decade. We share the same experiences, we understand each other. No one in this world is more suitable for you than me." This person is really thick-skinned. Seeing Jiang Yuji already descending from the stage, he didn't like Qingzhou appearing by my side. And I felt the same aversion, so I urgently wanted to drive him away. "Who I like is none of your business. Rather than worrying about me, you should worry about yourself. Life in the Qing family hasn't been easy for you, has it?" That remark really hit him where it hurts. Qingzhou's face darkened, and after a long pause he finally spoke. "I no longer care about those things. I came back for you." I asked him, "Do you even believe this nonsense yourself?" 9. On the day of the college entrance exams, Jiang Yuji, who had already received early admission, acted even more nervous than I was. "Sis, could you double-check if you've forgotten anything?" This was already the 4th time he'd asked me to check, but I obediently went through everything once more. After finishing the last exam subject, Jiang Yuji, my dad, and Aunt Jiang were all waiting for me outside. In the evening, our classmates organized a dinner gathering. As the only one in our class who got recommended admission to Peking University, Jiang Yuji naturally got pressured to drink quite a lot. After taking a taxi to the outside of the neighborhood, I walked a few steps forward before realizing Jiang Yuji hadn't followed me. Turning around, I saw him still standing where we got off the car, gazing at me from afar. "Sis, I drank too much. My head is spinning. Can you come over and hold my hand as we walk? I'm in a good mood today." I walked over with a smile, holding his hand, happy now. Whether it was the alcohol or not, Jiang Yuji's face was burning red. He looked down at our clasped hands, walking for a long while before softly murmuring his voice lifted at the end, and the smile never left his face, until I met Qingzhou in the neighborhood. Qingzhou's gaze fell on our intertwined hands, mine and Jiang Yuji's. His eyes instantly reddening as he choked out, "Yan." Like a man possessed, he rushed toward us, staring at Jiang Yuji, then back at me, disbelief written all over his face. "You too." Jiang Yuji tightened his grip on my hand, smirking at Qingzhou. "Sis, why does he keep haunting us like a ghost? Now he's no longer drunk, his head isn't dizzy either, completely sober." I ignored Qingzhou and walked straight past him. Only when we reached the doorstep did I let go of Jiang Yuji's hand, smiling. "Great acting." Jiang Yuji flexed the hand I'd just released, his ears turning crimson. My coming-of-age ceremony at 18 was celebrated together with my college admission banquet. Even though my college entrance exam scores only qualified me for an average first-tier university, my father still went all out to host a grand dinner for me. He made a huge fuss, boasting to everyone he met, "My daughter got into a first-tier university, how incredible is that?" The regrets from my past life were finally made up for in this one, and I became my father's pride. At the banquet, the Qing family intentionally sought to establish marital ties with ours. Chairman Jiang, your daughter is about the same age as my sons, see if any catch your eye, let's join our families. Without even glancing at the three men behind Mr. Chung, my father declined with a smile. Young people these days value free will and love. Besides, with my current standing, there's no need for my daughter to marry for alliance. I noticed Qingzhou's expression faltered slightly upon hearing my father's words. He must have recalled how, in our past life, my father treated him as an honored guest, introducing him to North City's elite circles, all because I loved him, and now he could only trail behind his two older brothers, serving as an insignificant background character. After all the guests had left, Aunt Jiang finally wheeled out the birthday cake she had made together with Jiang Yuji. Just as they were about to light the candles and make a wish, Jiang Yuji suddenly spoke up, "Mom, could you and Uncle Jiang go turn off the lights?" Everyone at home was so excited tonight that neither of them gave Jiang Yuji's request much thought and went together to switch off the lights. The moment the light went out, I closed my eyes and made a wish, but then I heard Jiang Yuji's calm voice beside me, "Happy birthday, sis." He tucked a loose strand of hair behind my ear. "After today you'll be an adult, so this is the last time I'll call you sis." Before I could process the meaning behind his words, the overhead lights flickered back on, the whole family started singing the birthday song for me, and Jiang Yuji's words were temporarily pushed to the back of my mind. 10. I woke up in the morning to the sound of fighting outside. Neither my dad nor Aunt Jiang were home, and calling out to Jiang Yuji twice got no response. Puzzled, I walked downstairs and saw Jiang Yuji and Qingzhou tangled together outside the floor-to-ceiling window. After glancing around, I grabbed a bottle of red wine from the liquor cabinet and rushed out, pushing Qingzhou aside. I shielded Jiang Yuji behind me. "Are you fucking insane? Having lived 2 lifetimes, this was the first time I'd ever cursed someone out." Behind me, Jiang Yuji wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and glared coldly at Qingzhou. "You went through all this trouble to provoke me into a fight, just to make Jiang Yan come out and look at you, didn't you? Happy now?" Qingzhou saw the liquor bottle in my hand. He's no fool. He could guess it was meant to smash over his head. Instantly, his expression turned desolate, the pain in his eyes unmistakable, but I remained unmoved, my voice icy. "Qingzhou, people need the ability to move on. Stop clinging relentlessly. This behavior of yours only makes me despise you more. Don't ever show your face in front of me again, or I'll make sure you never set foot in Beijing for the rest of your life." After dragging Jiang Yuji into the room, I scolded him again. "You think you're something now, don't you? You've even learned to start fights with people. What did you just call me? Jiang Yan this and Jiang Yan that? Since when do you get to call me by my name?" Jiang Yuji glanced at me cautiously, avoiding my gaze. "Last night I already told you, that was the last time I'll call you sister." As if struggling with something, he turned back and looked seriously into my eyes. "Jiang Yan, you're an adult now. I won't call you sister anymore. I like you, so I don't want to just treat you as a sister." These words rooted me to the spot, leaving me unable to regain my composure for a long time. That evening, the atmosphere at the dinner table was extremely awkward. No matter how many times my dad and Aunt Jiang tried to smooth things over, they couldn't change the subtle tension between me and Jiang Yuji. When I came back from walking the dog, I saw Jiang Yuji and Aunt Jiang coming out of my father's study, both looking rather upset. Just as I was about to ask, my father also emerged from the study. "Yan Yan, come to my study." In the study, my father mentioned how my mother passed away from difficult labor when I was born, and all these years, he's always worried he hasn't taken good enough care of me. But my Yan Yan is amazing, not only excelling in studies but also outstanding in everything else. I could tell he was just beating around the bush, so I cut straight to the point. "Dad, what exactly do you want to say? What happened?" He sighed. "After you left, Yuji called me and his mother into the study. He said he likes you and wants to be with you. Actually, I've noticed he treats you differently. I just never thought about it in this way." My father carefully observed my expression, seeing that I remained silent. He continued, "Yan Yan, your dad and Aunt Jiang are open-minded parents. If you also like Yuji, don't worry about our feelings. Although Aunt Jiang just beat Yuji, she and I both will still respect your own choices. Dad can even send you abroad, to a place where no one knows you. My only wish in this life is for you to be happy and live a joyful life. There's no doubt my father loves me, even in my past life when I truly became the useless person Qingzhou described. He never once spoke a harsh word to me. Dad, I said earnestly, holding his hand, I'm not going anywhere, I just want to stay by your side. As for the matter between me and Jiang Yuji, I'll handle it properly. 11. During summer vacation. I didn't go traveling but went straight to intern at my father's company. By the time I graduated and officially joined the company, I had already gained some reputation there. Jiang Yuji didn't join my father's company. Being clever, he formed a team in college to start his own business. With my father's support, Jiang Yuji's company has now begun to thrive. I saw Qingzhou again at a charity gala. Without my help in this lifetime, he remains nothing more than an illegitimate child in an awkward position. Qingzhou smiled when he saw me, but as he approached to greet me, staff stopped him. Sir, this is the VIP area, you can't enter, please return to your seat. Now he can no longer pester me, and even meeting me once is extremely difficult. I also know a few big shots nearby, and I heard them talking about Qingzhou. That illegitimate child of the Qing family is recently working on some new energy project and even came to my company to seek investment. I know about this too. Old Wang, are you investing? Sigh, out of respect for the Qing family, it's hard to refuse, and besides, new energy is definitely going to be a major trend in the future. From their conversation, I learned that Qingzhou and Jiang Yuji were working in the same field. I raised an eyebrow with a smile and proactively greeted the Wang family's leader beside me. Uncle Wang, it's been a while since I last saw you. Just now I heard you mention new energy. My younger brother is currently working in this field too. If you're considering investments, I'll thank all you uncles on his behalf. Uncle Wang and several other uncles nodded with smiles. Yen, since you put it this way, how could we not support Yuji? These are people who have been through decades of business battles. They'd instantly grasp the implications in my words. Moreover, with the Jiang family's growing influence in recent years, they'd naturally want to do me this favor. After today, Qingzhou won't secure a single investment in North City. This is the gap between him and me now. Without lifting a finger, I can make his fate completely different from his past life, or with just a casual remark, send him crashing to the bottom, never to rise again. 12. Jiang Yuji's company went public in the US after changing its name. Reading the online news, I couldn't help but frown. He renamed the company to JY, the abbreviation of my name. On the day Jiang Yuji returned to the country, I personally went to the airport to pick him up and threw a stack of documents at him. Jiang Yuji, you're getting bolder by the day. Jiang Yuji caught the documents with a smile, flipped through a few pages, then met my gaze. So you found out. Jiang Yan, JY is my dowry, would you reconsider giving me another chance? I slammed the car door shut and gritted my teeth to squeeze out 2 words. No way. That stack of documents was actually a share transfer agreement. Jiang Yuji had transferred 70% of JY's shares to my name. I've known him for 2 lifetimes, yet now it feels like I never truly understood Jiang Yuji. It seems even the Jiang Yuji I knew from high school days isn't the same person anymore. It was just the 2 of us in the car. After a few seconds of silence, I finally heard Jiang Yuji's voice. Jiang Yan, give me one reason. Okay, why can't it be me? Watching Qingzhou approach me step by step, I instinctively stood up abruptly. I tightened my grip on the steering wheel, then began recounting that dream about a past life I'd once mentioned to him. Don't be fooled by our mere 2-month age difference. Truthfully, I've always seen you as just a little kid. After the college entrance exam, those words you said to my dad, I only thought you were momentarily impulsive. Jiang Yuji straightened up and turned to look at me. Jiang Yan, it's been 9 years since that summer after senior year. Why won't you just believe me? He sounded like he was accusing someone, his tone carrying an indescribable grievance. Are you afraid I'm just acting on a whim? From age 17 to now at 26, I've been following you around for 9 years. After this birthday, it'll be 10. I don't have many decades in this lifetime. How could this possibly be some impulsive infatuation? The car drove through the tunnel, and I glanced at Jiang Yuji in the rearview mirror. The tunnel lights flickered across his face. Jiang Yan, give me a chance. Okay, I know what I want. As he spoke these words, his face was turned toward the car window, his voice choked with emotion. My heart suddenly skipped a beat. Okay. Only after speaking did I realize what I had done, but there was no taking it back. Jiang Yuji's previously gloomy face instantly lit up with radiance. Rubbing his eyes, he asked uncertainly, really? But before I could answer, he continued, don't even think about denying it, I heard everything. Emerging from the tunnel, I raised my eyes to look at the sky, the moon was full, and the stars were shining brightly. It suddenly occurred to me that agreeing to give it a try with Jiang Yuji wasn't such a bad idea after all. Story 2. I had a car accident and urgently needed panda blood. My childhood friend begged bitterly in the panda blood mutual aid group, please, I'll agree to any condition, marry me, is that okay too? A girl asked. My childhood friend gritted his teeth and endured, yes. The whole network praised my childhood friend for sacrificing for love. If I made a fuss, I was being ungrateful. It was only years later that I found out the two of them had already been having an affair, once again. I returned to the day when I had a car accident and urgently needed panda blood. I preemptively called the young Master Gu in Hong Kong City. I'm Jiang Li, who once donated panda blood to you. Can you return that 1200 cc of blood to me? Unexpectedly, young Master Gu had also been reborn. He rushed over overnight, buying and contending, donating blood is okay, but she has to marry me. I didn't expect my childhood friend to go crazy on the spot. 1. The young Master Gu in Hong Kong City vied and contended to marry me. He rushed to the hospital against time and took the lead in donating blood to me. However, the girl with panda blood, Qin Xiangwei, didn't know this. 3 days after my operation, Qin Xiangwei barged into the ward with a sense of entitlement to confront me. Jiang Li, it was me who donated 1200 cc of panda blood to you. Do you know what it means to donate 1200 cc of blood at once? It could lead to heart failure, shock, and even threaten my life. I'm saving your life with my own, so it's not excessive for me to ask for any condition. My condition is that Qinyao must marry me. I know you must be extremely reluctant in your heart, but no matter how reluctant you are, you have to endure it for now. I cut off her words. I agree. Qin Xiangwei clearly didn't expect that I would calmly say yes. What did you say? Even Qinyao, who had a pained expression on his face, was full of surprise in his eyes. He thought I would cry, make a scene, and break down, that I would be crazy and reluctant to let go, and then, like in the previous life, stand on the moral high ground and tell of his helplessness. All this is for saving you. Do you think I'm willing to marry a woman I don't love? But I've already promised her. You don't know that every day when I lie in the same bed with Qin Xiangwei, our hearts are miles apart. Do you know that all I think about is you, in the previous life? I really cried and made a big fuss. I cried all day long, begging Qinyao not to leave me. He said I was being unreasonable and looked like a lunatic. Obviously, everything he did was to save me. It was only years later that I found out the two of them had already been having an affair. I heard Qinyao tirelessly to his friends, I'm already tired of it. If I don't come up with an excuse of sacrificing for love, how can I get away scot-free? Jiang Li loves me so much. Even when I sacrifice for love, she still won't let go. If I were to break up with her normally, wouldn't she make a huge scene with me? Blame it on our childhood friendship. It made her deeply in love with me. His friends flattered and laughed. It's all because of your great charm. Qinyao swirled the red wine and also smiled. That's true. Actually, I quite enjoy the way she can't forget about me, even if I'm married. I want her to love me obsessively and persistently, to remain chaste for me and cry for me until dawn. This feeling is really fascinating. At that moment, my mind went blank and my ears were buzzing. Only then did I vaguely realize why all these years, whenever I tried to let go and start a new life, he would appear in front of me and tell me his sad feelings for me. It turned out that he enjoyed the pleasure of me loving him to the point of madness. Reborn once. I won't be so cheap anymore. 2. I looked at Qin Xiangwei and said nonchalantly, since Qinyao promised to marry you, then I'll let go. Congratulations to you too. When can I have the honor of drinking your wedding wine? Qinyao looked at me in disbelief, and his face was extremely ugly. The friends in the ward, sensing the wrong atmosphere, quickly tried to persuade me. Jiang Li, we know you're just saying angry words. How could you be willing to let go of Qinyao? If Qinyao really leaves with Qin Xiangwei, you'll probably cry your eyes out. Hearing my friend's words, Qinyao's expression improved. The corners of his lips twitched slightly, and he leaned over to kiss my forehead. Be good, don't make trouble. Even if I have to fulfill my promise and marry her, you're the only one in my heart. If there was a man who could donate panda blood to you at that time and the condition was that I had to let go and let you marry him, I would also make the same choice with a broken heart. Because your life is more important than anything. The friends echoed one after another, persuading me to think it through. Yeah, brother Yao only loves you. It's just a pity that the one who set the condition at that time was Qin Xiangwei, who was determined to get brother Yao, not a man who had to marry you. I smiled and didn't say anything. Who said that there wasn't a man who had to marry me among those who set the conditions at that time? They didn't know that as soon as I was reborn at the moment of the car accident. I took out my phone and dialed the video call of the young Master Gu in Hong Kong City, lying in a pool of blood. I begged him at the first time, "Young Master Gu, I'm Jiangli, who once donated panda blood to you. Can you return that 1200 cc of panda blood to me?" Unexpectedly, young Master Gu had also been reborn. He rushed over overnight, hiding it from everyone and taking the lead in donating blood to me. He also smiled at me meaningfully. "Since your childhood friend fiancé can agree to any condition, then I also have to set a condition, but I trust my intuition. If I set it now, he will definitely go crazy on the spot and won't agree easily. Let's talk about everything after you successfully break off the engagement." I thought Gu Jincheng was overthinking. Qin Yao couldn't wait to break off the engagement with me and marry Qin Xiangwei instead, but I still agreed to Gu Jincheng's request. "Okay. Let's talk about everything after the engagement is broken off successfully." 3. In the previous life, I finally married Gu Jincheng, but my heart was always being toyed with by Qin Yao, and I turned a blind eye to Gu Jincheng's kindness, yet he still firmly stood up to protect me when I was exposed by Qin Xiangwei for not being able to forget a married man. When I got depression and was ridiculed by the whole network for faking illness because I couldn't get what I wanted, he sneered at everyone. So what if she doesn't have me in her heart? I, Gu Jincheng, dare to marry her, and I dare to protect her for life. I'm here to support her, not to uphold justice. Why should I take a step back to make things easier for you, allowing you to push your luck and hurt my wife in front of me? At that time, I was already in the late stage of depression and despairing. But Gu Jincheng still never left me. Even though our marriage was in name only, he still refused to give up on me. Reborn once, I won't mistake a scumbag for true love again, and I won't avoid the one who really loves me like the plague. Qin Xiangwei, however, didn't believe that I could let go of Qin Yao so readily. "Jiangli, you're acting so convincingly. I almost believed it. Who doesn't know that you love Qin Yao like crazy? Sticking to him like a plaster since childhood, can you let go of him so easily? I hate bitches who say one thing and do another the most." I'm not acting. I took off the engagement ring on my ring finger and returned it to Qin Yao. "Since you're going to marry Miss Qin, it's inappropriate for me to wear this ring anymore. I'm returning it to you. I won't pester you anymore in the future." Seeing me take off the ring, Qin Yao's face suddenly darkened. He forcefully stuffed the ring back into my hand. "Keep it as a memento." I shook my head. "No need, it's not fair to Miss Qin. From now on, I'll empty my heart and never think about you again. I mean what I say. If I think about you again, may I be struck by lightning. If I'm still so cheap after being reborn, if the heavens don't strike me, I'll look down on the heavens. Such a wimp doesn't deserve to live." Qin Yao's chest heaved, and he immediately covered my mouth. "What are you talking nonsense? How can you casually swear such a poisonous oath like being struck by lightning? Do you want to die?" Qin Xiangwei was very happy and took the initiative to come over and put her arm through Qin Yao's. "Qin Yao, accompany me to choose a wedding dress." "Okay, there are so many people accompanying Sister Jiang in the ward, you should learn to avoid suspicion." Qin Yao shook off Qin Xiangwei's hand, and his tone was very bad. "Get lost, I'm not in the mood today." I was a bit surprised. In the previous life, he would never shout at Qin Xiangwei like this, so it turned out that when I stopped flattering him, his enthusiasm for accompanying Qin Xiangwei to choose a wedding dress wasn't that strong either. In the ward, the friends were all trying to persuade Qin Yao not to get angry. "Qin Yao, I think what Miss Qin said is right. After all, you're going to marry Miss Qin in the future. You probably need to learn to avoid suspicion." Qin Yao's tone was even worse, and he roared sharply, "Get out, all of you." After everyone left, Qin Yao lowered his head and pinched my nose and said, "Are you happy now? If you're reluctant to let me go, just say so. When did you learn to play hard to get? You even swore a poisonous oath that you won't love me anymore. Your mouth is so tough. Can you really let go in your heart?" He looked at me affectionately, and his charming peach blossom eyes were captivating. Unfortunately, he could no longer captivate my heart. I said faintly, "I can let go." Probably because my expression was too indifferent, a trace of panic actually flashed through Qin Yao's eyes. 4. Late at night, Qin Yao was still called away by a phone call from Qin Xiangwei. After he left, Gu Jincheng walked into the ward to accompany me. He brought me delicious beef soup and fed me mouthful by mouthful. he said, red meat nourishes blood, drink more. I pushed the soup to him. You also need to replenish your body. Donating 1200 cc of blood at once is no joke. One wrong move and there will be problems with your body. Thank you for being willing to donate so much blood to me at once. I have nothing to repay you with, and I don't even have the face to face you. Gu Jincheng looked at me and smiled gently. Once I was on the verge of death. Weren't you also risking your life to donate so much blood to me at once, at that time? I also had nothing to repay you with and just wanted to marry you. Unfortunately, you were deeply in love with that childhood friend and rejected me mercilessly. 3 years ago, I saw a message in the Panda Blood Mutual Aid Group, emergency help, looking for panda blood throughout the city. This is the People's Hospital in the Tibetan area. A patient is in critical condition and urgently needs 1200 cc of bag Rh, negative red blood cells. Are there any panda brothers and sisters nearby who can come and help? Unfortunately, the place that needed panda blood was in the Tibetan area. Many people wanted to rush to help but couldn't make it in time because of the long distance. I happened to be doing research in Tibet at that time and was the only one who could donate blood to Gu Jincheng. After that, he proposed to marry me, and I refused. Later, he heard that Chen Yao had married Qin Xiangwei. He came all the way from Hong Kong City to pursue me. He said, I'm not doing this to repay your kindness. Actually, I've known you for a long time. When you were in graduate school and went to Hong Kong City to participate in academic activities with your supervisor, I fell in love with you at first sight. I didn't expect that the person I had a crush on would save my life at a critical moment. This is a match made in heaven. Unfortunately, in the previous life, I didn't know how to cherish it. Tears welled up in my eyes, and I tried to hold back my sobs and asked cautiously, I have no way to repay your life-saving grace. Is it still too late for me to marry you now? Gu Jincheng couldn't believe it. He suddenly tightened his grip on my hand and held his breath. Jiangli, what did you say? Say it again. Do you really want to let go of Chen Yao? Weren't you crazy about him? In the previous life, I was in the late stage of depression and couldn't go on living. Before I died, I secretly ran back to Nanjing to see Chen Yao behind Gu Jincheng's back. It was also at that time that I accidentally heard Chen Yao and his friends and learned all the truth. I was heartbroken. I shook my head, holding his handsome face and said, I don't love him anymore. I won't love him anymore in the future. Reborn once. I just want to love you well. In the previous life, I was married to Gu Jincheng for 3 years, and I never let him touch me. Now, I closed my eyes and deliberately seduced him. I wanted to let him know that I had really let go of Chen Yao. Gu Jincheng, can you kiss me? In the previous life, we were husband and wife for 3 years, but I was never kissed by you. People outside say that your mouth is the most sexy. Being kissed by you must be really fascinating. I want to taste how fascinating it is. Gu Jincheng's eyes turned red at the corners. He almost lost control when he kissed me. He said, I did kiss you once. You cried so hard that I didn't dare anymore. I can't bear to see you cry. My heart would break. Really, I don't remember. In the future, I won't cry. I will only. My hand touched the thrilling pectoral muscle lines under his shirt. I wanted to tell him that in the future, I would only respond. His body trembled, and he lost more control. I scolded myself in my heart for being so blind in the previous life. Obviously, I could have had it so good. 5. The next day, Qin Xiangwei came to the ward to make trouble again. My parents and Chen Yao's parents were both called to the ward. In front of me, the marriage between the two families was officially called off. My father felt sorry for Chen Yao, pitiful that he had to marry a woman he didn't love to save me. He patted Chen Yao on the back and sighed earnestly. Good boy, it's hard on you. Don't worry, no one will scold you for being fickle. This marriage will be officially called off today. We will do a good job of working on Xiaoli's thoughts. Chen Yao looked at me deeply, waiting for me to cry, make a scene, and threaten to commit suicide. Unfortunately, I was too calm. Chen Yao sat in front of the hospital bed, unwilling to give up. Xiaoli, don't you have anything to say? Are you just going to calmly give me away to someone else? Don't hold it in. If you're wronged, cry it out. I withdrew my hand that he was tightly holding. If I tell you not to marry Qin Xiangwei now, will you agree? Chen Yao said painfully. You know I can't. A man's word is his bond. I did all this to save you. I found it funny. Then what else is there to say? Chen Yao pinched the space between his eyebrows. I'm afraid you can't take it and will hold it in until you get sick. I said, don't worry. I won't. I've already tried to let go. I tried hard and found that it's not that difficult. It turns out that you're not as important to me as I thought." But Qin Yao's face was gloomy. The faster I let go, the uglier his face became. He actually grabbed my wrist and accused me. "I don't believe it. The words you said before, that you loved me, couldn't leave me, and couldn't live without me, were they all fake?" I remembered his smug face in the previous life when he was telling his friends that I was deeply in love with him. I took a deep breath and became even more indifferent. "Just consider them all fake." Qin Yao's throat seemed to be blocked by something, and he couldn't say a word. He just glared at me fiercely, as if he was going to grind his teeth. My father returned the betrothal money and said to Qin Yao's father, "Old brother, the 880,000 yuan betrothal gift has all been returned. Check if it has arrived." Qin Yao's father looked at his phone and said, "It has arrived." Xiaoli is such a pitiful child, she must be crying her eyes out inside. But still trying to be brave and say that she has let go. When Qin Yao heard his father's words, his face finally improved a little. What his father didn't know was that I was sending a WeChat message to Gu Jincheng. "The engagement is successfully broken off. I'm single now, waiting for you to come and win my heart." Gu Jincheng asked me what my father usually liked the most. I asked, "What are you going to do, Gu Jincheng?" "I'm going to visit your father with gratitude and propose marriage. I'll tell your father that the one who donated blood to you that day was actually me, and the condition for me to save you was that you had to marry me." 6. Seeing that the engagement was successfully broken off, Qin Xiangwei immediately pulled Qin Yao up from beside my hospital bed. "Qin Yao, I want you to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau with me to get the marriage certificate now. I'm afraid that Jiangli will regret it in a few days and pester you again, to avoid any more troubles. Let's get the certificate first, then if she pesters you again, don't blame me for calling her a shameless mistress." Qin Xiangwei looked at me triumphantly, as if she was certain that I would pester Qin Yao. She couldn't wait to tear apart the mistress. Qin Yao slapped Qin Xiangwei in the face. "Who are you calling a mistress?" The ward instantly became as quiet as a chicken. Qin Xiangwei covered her face in disbelief, her voice shrill. "Qin Yao, I'm the wife you're about to marry. How could you hit me because of her? I just told her not to embarrass herself by pestering you. Why did you hit me? She's pining for a married man. Why can't I call her a mistress?" I found it funny and asked lightly while lying on the hospital bed, "Are you blind or deaf? Did I pine for him? Didn't I say I let go? Have I pestered him from beginning to end? If you have delusions, go get treated, don't bark here." Qin Xiangwei, however, was certain. "Who can't see that you're just pretending? You love Qin Yao to death in your heart, but you still pretend to be magnanimous and give him to me. You must be crying in your dreams and begging Qin Yao not to leave you, right?" Qin Xiangwei stared at Qin Yao with red eyes, her voice tinged with sobs. "Her tricks can't fool me, she's just pretending. You two have been childhood sweethearts since you were young. How could she let go so quickly? She's just being stubborn. You must go to the Civil Affairs Bureau with me to get the certificate today." Qin Yao had been observing my expression, not willing to miss any clue, but he couldn't see anything, and his expression became irritable. Qin Yao's father sighed and made the decision. "Qin Yao, you and Wei Wei go get the certificate now. It's also a way to completely break Xiaoli's thoughts." Qin Yao was pulled away by Qin Xiangwei with hesitant steps. When he was about to leave the ward, he suddenly shook off Qin Xiangwei's hand, came back and bent down to kiss my forehead. I turned my head to avoid it, and he only kissed my hair. I still felt disgusted. Qin Yao seemed to have some regrets, and he said, "Xiaoli, wait for me to come back. I will never give up on you." I wanted to tell him that he wouldn't be able to wait. Gu Jincheng was already handling the transfer procedures for me. He said that the hospitals in Hong Kong City were better, and there weren't a bunch of annoying people coming to the ward to disgust me from time to time. It was suitable for my post-operative recovery. I agreed. I also thought these people were quite funny. Obviously, I had clearly stated that I had let go, but no one believed me. Every day, someone would come to the ward and imagine how I was infatuated with love and hate. I sent a WeChat message to Gu Jincheng. "When will you arrive?" "Hurry up, Gu Jincheng, right away. I just arranged a private jet. We'll leave today." 7. When Qin Yao and Qin Xiangwei arrived at the Civil Affairs Bureau, Gu Jincheng had already arranged a private jet and wanted to transfer me to a hospital in Hong Kong City. He came to the ward to talk to my father and was about to take me away now. Like Qin Xiangwei, he was also afraid of long, drawn-out problems and just wanted to cut the Gordian knot quickly. My father was confused, and his mood was more exciting than a roller coaster ride. He didn't expect that just after losing a son-in-law, a better one would come along in a blink of an eye. my father confirmed with me again and again, Shally, are you sure you want to go with this young man? You can't just find someone to marry randomly just because Qin Yao is going to marry someone else, although this young man has long legs, broad shoulders like the Pacific Ocean, and a narrow waist like a male model, which is your favorite type. But didn't you say you would only marry Qin Yao since you were a child? Should I call Qin Yao and tell him to come to the airport to chase you? If he knows that the one who donated blood to you wasn't Qin Xiangwei, he won't have to marry her. I rolled my eyes at my father and pretended to be in a dilemma. Dad, what can I do? You heard it in the hospital just now. The condition for Gu Jinqing to agree to donate blood to me was that I had to marry him. Is it that when Qin Xiangwei donates blood to me, Qin Yao has to keep his promise, but when Gu Jinqing donates blood to me, I can just abandon him? One can't be so double standard. Besides, that's 1200 cc of panda blood, a matter of life for life. My father was left speechless and could only agree to let Gu Jinqing take me away. Gu Jinqing arranged a chartered plane and also hired an excellent attending doctor at a high price to accompany me to take care of me. To avoid any accidents on the plane during the journey, he arranged every detail of the journey, so that my father couldn't find any faults. My father couldn't help but ask indirectly, boy, be honest, when did you start having your eyes on my Shally? You have a good eye. If it weren't for Shally's car accident and urgent need for panda blood, you wouldn't have a chance to take advantage of the situation even in your dreams. I glared at my father. Dad, can you stop being so gossipy? Gu Jinqing answered every question. He held my hand in his palm and played with it. I don't dare to deceive uncle. It's been a long time, so long that it seems like something from a past life. The first time I met Shally was when she came to Hong Kong City to participate in an academic conference with her supervisor. Other postgraduate students were just eating and drinking in the venue, but Shally, like a newborn calf not afraid of tigers, not only followed her supervisor throughout the process but also dared to express her opinions in front of a group of bigwigs. She was very confident, dazzling, and charming, making people fall in love at first sight. I was a bit surprised. I didn't expect Gu Jinqing to answer like this. Yes, if I hadn't been love-struck, I could have shone brightly in my own field. But in the previous life, I was immersed in the worry about losing Qin Yao and lost myself. After my father went to the toilet, I asked Gu Jinqing with red-rimmed eyes, the confident, dazzling, and charming girl in your eyes must have disappointed you later, right? Gu Jinqing seemed to see through my heart. He kissed the back of my hand, and his voice was magnetic and gentle. No disappointment, I've been waiting for you to cheer up. To live again as the person who made me fall in love at first sight. I didn't wait for it in the previous life. Let's work hard in this life. I nodded, and a spark re-ignited in my eyes. Okay, I will definitely live up to your expectations. I took a deep breath and was full of expectations for my future. My restless hand, however, was touching around through his shirt. Gu Jinqing took a deep breath and whispered in my ear in a low voice, "Stop making trouble, you're still sick." I chuckled. That's why I'm being so bold, because I'm sick. In the previous life after marriage, Gu Jinqing insisted on sleeping in the same room. I always curled myself into a small ball, sleeping in a corner of the 2-meter-wide bed, afraid that he would have thoughts about me. What a waste. I wonder how hurt his heart was at that time. My heart was full of guilt, and I suddenly wanted to spoil him, give him some sweetness. I pointed to my mouth. Kiss me again, a passionate one. Gu Jinqing's breath became hot. As soon as he stuck his tongue in, my father came out of the toilet. Gu Jinqing was like a startled bird and sat up straight suddenly. He looked so noble, proper, and like a righteous gentleman. He called the medical staff to put me on a mobile hospital bed and pushed me out. Soon I got into an ambulance, and the group rushed to the airport. 8. When Qin Yao was signing at the marriage registration window of the Civil Affairs Bureau, he held the signature pen for a long time without moving. Qin Xiangwei had already signed and was sitting next to him, urging him. Qin Yao, what are you in a daze for? Hurry up and sign. Qin Yao suddenly tore the registration form in half, then in quarters, and threw it into the nearby trash can, saying, "This marriage is off." These simple 5 words instantly stirred up 1,000 waves. Qin Xiangwei widened her eyes, her voice shrill, and her face was full of disbelief. What do you mean? Qin Yao, you're not going to fulfill your promise and marry me? Qin Yao's irritable heart for the past 2 days suddenly felt relieved. That's right, I'm not getting married. I can't stand Shally's stubbornness in pretending to be calm and easily saying she has let go. I have a premonition that if I sign, I will completely lose her in this life. I have to go back and find her. The look in her eyes when she looked at me for the last time before I left the ward made me so flustered. Qin Xiangwei was going crazy and blocked his way, not letting him leave. Of course you'll completely lose her if you marry me. Do you still expect to have both of us after getting married? Qin Yao ignored her at all and forcefully shook off Qin Xiangwei. He walked towards the door of the Civil Affairs Bureau with big steps. As he walked, he couldn't help but start trotting. He even thought self-moved. If Shally knows that I'm willing to break my promise and come back to find her, she will definitely be crazy with joy, right? There's no way. After all, she's the girl I've spoiled since she was a child. Qin Yao took out his phone to make a call. The voice that came from the phone was, "Sorry, the number you dialed is temporarily unavailable." What was going on? Qin Yao dialed again, and it was still unavailable. Qin Yao got in the car and stepped on the gas pedal, rushing straight to the hospital. At the entrance of the hospital, he also bought a beautiful bouquet of roses. He thought that when Shally saw the flowers, she would definitely cry and say she liked them. He never wanted to see Shally's nonchalant expression again. He wanted Shally to laugh and cry for him. All her emotions were only for him, with her heart and eyes full of only him. Just like when she was a child, she didn't cling to anyone else, only liked to cling to him. The more Qin Yao thought about it, the more he became. Finally, he reached the door of the ward. He took a deep breath and suddenly pushed the door open. Before entering the ward, he used his magnetic and pleasant voice to create a surprise. Surprise, guess who's back? The next second, he found that the hospital bed was empty. Where was she? Qin Yao went to find the nurse. The nurse said she was transferred to a hospital in Hong Kong City. Qin Yao's heart sank suddenly. Hong Kong City? Why go to Hong Kong City? Could it be that she couldn't accept his marriage to Qin Xiangwei, and ran to Hong Kong City alone to be sad secretly? It must be so. She really wasn't as calm as she pretended to be on the surface. Qin Yao smiled. Little liar. I almost believed that you really let me go. Your acting skills are really something. But unexpectedly, the next second, a friend rushed into the ward and said, "Brother Yao, you were deceived by Qin Xiangwei. I just found out that the one who really donated blood to Shally was a big shot from Hong Kong City. He made a condition to Shally's father that Shally had to marry him. Now he has taken Shally away and is about to board the plane." Qin Yao's body swayed, and his mind went blank. The whole person was like a statue, roaring sharply. Impossible. Shally wouldn't agree. How could she agree to marry a man other than me? After a long while, he finally ran out of the hospital, staging a life and death race, speeding all the way to the airport. 9. I didn't expect that even after being transferred to a hospital in Hong Kong City, I still couldn't escape Qin Xiangwei's harassment. She spent money to buy hot searches and called me a shameless slut. She said I had never seen a man in my life and was still clinging to Qin Yao and not letting go. When I needed panda blood to save my life, I promised everything, but after being saved, I turned my back on my promise. Who would dare to donate panda blood with their life in the future? Netizens who didn't know the truth all stood on Qin Xiangwei's side. They scolded me with all kinds of vicious words. However, Gu Jincheng responded to the crisis public relations even faster. The public relations department of Gu's group stepped in directly. They posted a video on the official Weibo of Gu's group. It was the surveillance footage of Gu Jincheng donating blood to me in the hospital. There was also the testimony of the hospital blood collection nurse. The one who donated blood to Jiangli was Mr. Gu. Qin Xiangwei arrived later. I told Qin Xiangwei that someone had already donated blood. Qin Xiangwei then tried to bribe me with money and asked me for the identity information of the donor. The public relations department of Gu's group also showed the bank transfer record. Qin Xiangwei contacted young Master Gu by phone. She thought young Master Gu was just an ordinary donor and wanted to pay him off. Young Master Gu wanted to see what trick she was going to play, so he gave her a bank card account. This is the 50,000 yuan she transferred. It's really funny that someone actually tried to pay off the young master of Gu's group with 50,000 yuan. By the way, let me reveal a piece of gossip to everyone. 3 years ago, young Master Gu had a car accident and was on the verge of death. It was Jiangli who risked her life to donate blood to young Master Gu. Now that Jiangli had a car accident and urgently needed panda blood, young Master Gu rushed to return this favor as soon as he learned about it. This two-way love is so sweet. Anyway, our company group is crazy about it. The situation reversed too quickly. The fooled netizens changed their stance. The online violence, like a flood and wild beast, smashed towards Qin Xiangwei, who was the real shameless slut. She dared to demand that someone marry her even though she didn't donate blood. Has she never seen a man in her life? Could a normal person make such an unreasonable request when donating blood? She must have been eyeing someone else's fiancé for a long time. Right, check her online accounts. I bet we can find some clues. I found her small account on a certain app. Sisters, go and check it out. There's a big melon. I was lying in the hospital bed, scrolling through the comments. The power of netizens was indeed powerful. I clicked on Qin Xiangwei's small account. It was really wonderful. Sisters, what should I do if I meet my true love in the Panda Blood Mutual Aid group? There's no childhood love that can't be forgotten, only a heaven-sent one who doesn't work hard enough. Woo-hoo, he's engaged to his childhood love. Is it still too late for me to work hard now? Men are really animals driven by their lower bodies. He couldn't resist my kiss. There is no everlasting love, only eternal interests. My dad is so awesome. He has a business cooperation with his family. Now all that's lacking is a marriage alliance. It's a godsend opportunity. His little childhood sweetheart had a car accident, and now it's my chance. I thought that when I saw these words, I would be so angry that my whole body would tremble, but I was actually very calm. It turned out that once I let go of Qin Yao, I wouldn't feel the pain anymore. Qin Xiangwei tried desperately to delete those posts, but what was the use? Many netizens took screenshots and called her a mistress. Her reputation was ruined, and she couldn't cause any more trouble. However, it seemed that Qin Yao couldn't let go of me. He actually chased all the way to Hong Kong City. There were intense quarreling sounds outside the ward. Qin Yao wanted to see me, but Gu Jincheng wouldn't allow it. Gu Jincheng, you despicable villain. You actually tricked me into breaking off the engagement with Xiaoli. Xiaoli won't agree to marry you. I heard Gu Jincheng sneer, his voice cold and mocking. Didn't you say that you would agree to any condition as long as it could save her? Why are you losing your composure now that my condition is that she has to marry me? 10. I turned over and got out of bed, then walked out of the ward. I saw Qin Yao looking like a ferocious beast that had been provoked. With bloodshot eyes that were completely red, when he saw me, Qin Yao restrained his temper a bit and said with a sense of certainty, Xiaoli, come here, as long as you don't want to, I promise that no one can force you. Gu Jincheng didn't give an inch and stood in front of me to block him. I squeezed Gu Jincheng's hand to soothe his restless emotions. Then I looked at Qin Yao. Qin Yao, stop making a scene. Didn't you say that if there was a man who could donate panda blood to me at that time and the condition was that you had to let go and let me marry him, you would also make the same choice with a broken heart? You set the condition yourself, and we can't go back on our promise. Didn't I calmly accept it when Qin Xiangwei asked you to marry her? Qin Yao was left speechless and stared at me with his eyes wide open and full of anger. Come here. We can face anything together and overcome any obstacles. You love me so much. If you can't marry me, how will you live the rest of your life? I finally couldn't help laughing. With a sound, I stopped pretending. Qin Yao, who gave you the confidence? Do you really think I don't know that you and Qin Xiangwei have already been having an affair? I even feel disgusted just by looking at a man like you who is tainted. Qin Yao was like being struck by lightning. And his voice trembled uncontrollably. Xiaoli, it's not what you think. Listen to my explanation. Fine, explain then. But he couldn't explain a single word. His secret that he thought he had hidden so well was exposed, and he felt so embarrassed that his face turned from white to red. He could barely stand still. After a long while, he finally grasped the main point and said, Xiaoli, I didn't get the marriage certificate with Qin Xiangwei. I regretted it the moment I was about to sign at the Civil Affairs Bureau. Aren't you happy? In the end, the person I want to choose is still you. His tone was like he was trying to take credit with me. I didn't expect that he hadn't married Qin Xiangwei, but so what? In the previous life, he didn't make this choice. Not only did he marry Qin Xiangwei, but he also hoped that I would never forget him. He enjoyed the pleasure of two women fighting over him. Now, it's just because I'm no longer fawning over him. Men are just like that. They only know how to cherish something when they can't have it. Xiaoli, come here, I'll take you home. The relationship we've had since we were children can't be interfered with by anyone. Qin Xiangwei can't, and Gu Jincheng definitely can't either. Even if I get lost occasionally, I can quickly recognize myself and get back on the right track. Let's forget all the unpleasant things in the past, even now. He was still so confident and thought that I could forgive him. I shook my head in disgust. It's too late. I don't love you anymore. There are better people worthy of my love, and you don't deserve it. I held Gu Jincheng's hand tightly, and his eyes were filled with tender light that could drown a person. Gu Jincheng lowered his head and kissed me. I'll help you back to the ward. I nodded shyly. Okay, husband. Seeing our intimate little interaction, Jinyao's eyes were full of disbelief. He growled, "What did you call him?" I said, just like Qin Xiangwei was afraid that something might go wrong if we waited too long. Gu Jincheng was also worried about that, so as soon as we arrived in Hong Kong City, before we even entered the hospital, we went to the Civil Affairs Bureau to register and get the marriage certificate first. Now, Gu Jincheng is my husband. I enjoyed his expression of despair, which was just like mine in the previous life. At the moment when I couldn't stop Chen Yao from marrying Qin Xiangwei, I was so desperate, it felt like life was worse than death, but all of that was in the past, and I have a future to look forward to. I want to become again the confident, dazzling, and charming person in Gu Jincheng's eyes. 11. A good relationship can nourish a person. While I was recuperating in the hospital, I resigned from my job, with the recommendation of my supervisor. I found a new job at a research institute of the University of Hong Kong. I started living a peaceful and fulfilling life. Every day after work, Gu Jincheng would drive to the University of Hong Kong to pick me up. I said, "Aren't you tired? Don't you have any social engagements in the evening?" I remembered that after marrying Gu Jincheng in the previous life, he almost always went to social events. Gu Jincheng fastened my seatbelt for me and took the opportunity to kiss me. There are so many young and handsome guys at the University of Hong Kong. If I don't keep an eye on you, what if someone takes advantage of the situation? I was amused. How could that be? You're still in your prime. Gu Jincheng is 28 years old this year, which is a great age for a man. When I said he was old, he immediately looked in the rearview mirror and examined himself carefully, but he saw Chen Yao's car in the mirror. Why is he like a lingering ghost? He still hasn't given up after several months. Did he come to look for you again today? I said, don't pay attention to him. Let's go eat seafood tonight. Okay. My colleagues recommended a new restaurant to me today. They said the food is really good, and I want to give it a try. Gu Jincheng started the car. You set the location. However, from the rearview mirror, I saw Chen Yao driving and following us all the way. Is he crazy? Gu Jincheng increased the speed of the car. Chen Yao followed and accelerated. When we arrived at the seafood restaurant, Chen Yao followed us in as well. He sat alone in the corner and watched me and Gu Jincheng chatting and laughing while eating. Gu Jincheng said there was some sauce on the corner of my mouth. Where? Come closer, and I'll wipe it for you. So I leaned my face closer, and he wiped it for me. He took the opportunity to kiss me secretly. I leaned the other side of my face closer, wiped this side too. Gu Jincheng deliberately showed off our affection in front of Chen Yao. He also pushed the peeled crab meat in front of me and discussed the wedding arrangements with me. Suddenly, Chen Yao walked over, and his voice was filled with the pain and despair that he had suppressed for a long time. So, you can really have a meal with another man so intimately, the Shally who used to only smile at me like this. It turns out that you can really fall in love with someone else. I'm not the only one for you. Then what am I? What am I? The one who can't fall asleep at night thinking of you every day. Chen Yao seemed to be drunk, and his tone was very aggressive and aggrieved. He was staggering and wanted to hug me. Gu Jincheng kicked him away. Where did this stray dog come from? Wrongly claiming its master here. The waiter in the restaurant came over to help him up. Chen Yao didn't appreciate it. Get away, don't touch me, the waiter said. Sir, you're drunk, Chen Yao roared. I'm not drunk. I'm more sober than anyone else. The girl I've held in the palm of my hand for more than 10 years has been stolen away by someone else. Why can she stop loving me just like that? How can she be so heartless and cruel? Did she have an affair behind my back long ago? Gu Jincheng directly paid the bill and took me away. Shally, don't leave. Every time I got drunk in the past, you would rush to pick me up right away. I'm drunk. And I feel so afflictive. Shally, Shally. Chen Yao called my name with a broken heart, and his voice sounded extremely desolate. I didn't look back. I would never look back in this life. 12. The next time I saw Chen Yao was on my wedding day. I went back to my home in Nanjing and waited for Gu Jincheng to come to pick me up as the bride. Chen Yao's family lived next door to mine. In the morning, while I was doing my makeup, Chen Yao suddenly rushed in looking like he had lost his soul. He searched the whole room for me. When he saw that I was safe and sound, he let out a long sigh of relief. Then he rubbed his face hard and said with a look of lingering fear, Shally, fortunately you're still alive. I had a dream that you died, and it scared me to death. His eyes were full of fear, and there were bloodshot eyes all over. I looked at him with a complicated expression. Chen Yao noticed it. What's with that expression on your face? I pursed my lips and didn't say anything. My eyes were very cold. Qinyao seemed to realize something and stumbled and fell to the ground. No, it's impossible. I wouldn't treat you like that. How could I possibly treat you like that? I turned my eyes away, too lazy to look at him anymore. There was only a sneer at the corner of my mouth. In an instant, Qinyao seemed to have understood everything, and his voice trembled violently. So, this is the reason why you don't love me. Did I ruin the relationship we had as childhood sweethearts with my own hands? I was too lazy to pay attention to him. The relationship we had as childhood sweethearts had long become like mosquito blood in my heart. Qinyao suddenly raised his hand and slapped himself twice hard. Then, he slapped himself twice more. He continued slapping himself. He slapped his face swollen and knelt down in front of me, begging desperately, Xiaoli, tell me. This isn't true. Please, tell me, this isn't true. Don't be like this. I'd rather you fell in love with someone else. I'd rather you had an affair with Gu Jincheng behind my back than you tell me this is true. I was wearing a wedding dress and standing in front of the mirror, looking at myself, confident and beautiful. I ignored him and walked out with both hands holding the skirt of the wedding dress. I didn't understand what he was begging for. How could a scumbag not be able to face the fact that he was extremely scummy? Who was he showing his regret to? It was just self-pity. He had a performative personality. I was even afraid that I would be struck by lightning if I looked at him one more time. 13. Gu Jincheng came to pick me up as the bride. He was so handsome, wearing a suit and exuding charm. In the previous life, we didn't have a wedding. He wanted to have one, but I didn't want to. We both wanted to make up for the regret in our hearts. In the evening, we held a wedding banquet in Hong Kong City. The venue was decorated romantically and luxuriously. There were flowers, music, and a red carpet. Everything made people happy. After the wedding, we went to Tibet for our honeymoon. We were looking for the starting point of our fate. Gu Jincheng said that he wanted to establish a 24-hour independent panda blood bank across the country. In the future, if people with special blood types like us urgently need panda blood, it can be supplied in a timely manner to deal with various emergencies and win precious time for rescue. I thought it was a great idea and supported his decision. 2 years later, the research institute I worked for achieved a milestone breakthrough. At the academic conference, the institute asked me to go on stage to give an explanation. I stood on the stage, and there were countless colleagues and bigwigs sitting in the audience. Gu Jincheng and several investment tycoons sat in the first row. He was wearing a white shirt, looking cold, noble, and extremely handsome. There was an alluring smile at the corners of his eyebrows and eyes. I felt a little proud in my heart. I wondered if I was the most charming in his eyes at this moment while standing on the stage. At the cocktail party after the conference, Gu Jincheng proudly introduced me to others. I'm Jiang Li's husband. At that moment, I had the answer in my heart, because he didn't say, Jiang Li is my wife. He was proud to be my husband. People are all drawn to the strong. He admired me, just like I admired him. Qin Xiangwei barged into the ward with a sense of entitlement to confront me. It turns out that a healthy, mature, and positive relationship is so wonderful. There's no need to indulge in love to the point of being crazy about it. All you need to do is focus on yourself and become a better person. Give the other person a high-quality lover. This is the ultimate romance in love. When the party was over, Gu Jincheng called the driver to pick us up. He had been drinking and couldn't drive. As soon as we got in the car, he uncontrollably hugged me in his arms. There was a surging tide in his eyes. I asked, "What's wrong with you? Is the alcohol taking effect?" Gu Jincheng adjusted the seat back and pressed me on the car to kiss me. "Wife, you were so charming today." Sure enough, he liked intellectual girls, but when I had depression before, didn't you also love me so much that you couldn't bear to let me go? Gu Jincheng said, "Actually, at that time, I hated you who fails to live up to expectations. I really didn't like you being like that, but I couldn't do anything about it. I couldn't bear to leave you alone. I always thought that as long as I tried harder, you might still be saved." My eyes were wet with tears, and I held his face and kissed him actively. "Thank you for not being willing to leave me behind."